Hi, welcome to Trap Souls Podcast. I am Ryan. I'm here with Adam Kimmell. Um, Talked to him a couple months ago. Met him at Madison. Just got excited right from the get go. Asked him to come on the show, and we talked about let's go down this rabbit hole here, and this is what we're going to do.
It's funny, when we first did talk, you were there for a private investigation, and I didn't know that you had been to the Madison Seminary way before I purchased it. Like, how long back was it again that you had been there?
I think 19 years ago was the first time I went there.
So the one thing that got me excited about this discussion, there's gonna be a lot of topics, but you said something really interesting. You're like, the haunting has changed. It isn't the way it used to be. Like how the Madison Seminary would have been 19 years ago. And I was saying, yeah, even back 2016, 10 years ago, like the building feels different, like these hauntings evolve. But you are probably one of the farthest back. What's 19 years from now? That's like, oh God, dude. 2006, 2007.
Right. That's
in that, because I don't know how early people were investigating the seminary, because with the former ownership, you had to know someone who knew someone who knew someone to get in there,
right.
So, and it was a different ball game, and we talked about this stuff too, all these locations, how the hauntings evolve, and we can get into that. We don't have to start with that, but there's a lot of good discussions on that.
Oh, it definitely is. We're just going to start a little generic right from the beginning. I know you're out there all the time on TikTok and stuff. And to be honest with you, I started watching you on TikTok, I think a couple years ago. I'm like, this dude is crazy. Like, the stuff you were saying, I'm like, ooh, this dude's off the wall. But the more I talk to people, the more I do these podcasts, you're right on cue here. I mean,
well, I think, it's interesting, and you're in the same lineup, dude. It was refreshing to talk to you when I had the chance when you were at Madison. It's that here's the way I look at the breakdown. All right. We all get into the paranormal at some point via however. It could be from being haunted as a child, watching TV shows. It doesn't matter your origin. The longer you're in the game, you start asking very, very odd and advanced questions. It's not black and white. When you first get into the paranormal, it's very black and white. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
Oh, you're not even really thinking about like, holy shit, I just saw that shadow person. What is that? It was more the excitement. I saw a shadow person up on that floor. Oh my God. And that was the end of it. And we just talk about how exciting the experience was of seeing it. But then the longer you're in it, you start breaking down the mechanics. You're like, what the hell did I actually see? Right. What is that disembodied voice? How does EVP phenomena even work? You become like this, you just become tortured after a while. And what seems radical actually, I think, is leading in the right direction to finding the answers. Right. So some of it seems crazy, though. I get it. Trust me, on some of these lives that I've done, you asked, I wrote some of the things down in these notes that I had. You actually said, what are spirits? Right. In one of the things. And it is a very commonly asked question, because, the one privilege I have of owning the locations, Madison Seminary, Fairfield County Infirmary, and helping, with Indiana State Sanitarium, Billy Creek, Stark Sloan, and on, you get to see how big the community is. Because I think when I first got into this, you only think there's like a few ghost hunting teams. I used to come in and think, man, we're like the first team that's ever done this place. We're going to tell the owner, we'll show the owner all of our evidence. What they don't realize is that there are hundreds of teams that have traveled before you and hundreds that are going to be after you. But we all ask that question, what are spirits? And when I'm saying about the teams that are coming through, the different perspectives, when I have the opportunity to sit down and just listen to some teams come in and they're super scientific, like no bullshit. It is all science. We need to back it up with, statistics, data, all that stuff. Then you got other teams that are like, we just go by feel and experience, and that's how we catalog it ourselves. Or you have some teams that are extremely religious. Now, what is going on with all these different perspectives is the filter of how they investigate. So when you ask every individual group that same question, you ask the scientific group, what are spirits? And they're like, it's the exchange of energy, the law of conservation. We are an energy source, and when we pass away, we just become this little blip of energy, maybe an orb. You know, it contracts into a little ball, and that's those things we see. That is the remnants of that energy. If you ask the religious team, more than likely they'll say, well, we're talking to demons. And then my follow-up is, well, if you're that religious and you believe in demons, why are you doing this? Wouldn't you want to stay away from that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, and I don't say these things to the teams. I'm not here to be I am not Judge Dredd here. I listen to everybody. I don't criticize any way. Any tactic of investigating is fine for the individual. I have my own, you know, opinions, as you do. It's just interesting to listen to that. So, you know, it is a loaded question. There was another question you had that I really liked. All right. Because we're just let's put the gloves on. Let's get into this shit, dude. Let's jump in. And the different dimensions question. I don't hear about this a lot. You said, and I'm taking your stuff and I have my stuff here, but you said, are there different dimensions? You know what is such a can of worms right now with paranormal investigations is the disclosure of aliens, right? We get this big disclosure, and I was like, oh shit. Because trust me, I've been on the alien train for a while. I'm like, there's just no way the universe or universes, wherever we're in, is just too big. It can't be that randomized. There has to be something out there. But, well, if there is a disclosure and they're saying they are here among us, well, man, we got to really reevaluate what a shadow person is, because that could be an interdimensional being. Those could have been aliens from the beginning observing us and just realizing that, hey, those ghost hunters are crazy. They're going to mistaken you for a ghost, and you can spy on them rather easily. You can even get caught on camera, and they don't know it's you. So, I don't know. That really raises a question. Maybe we are overlapping with a bunch of shit with the dimensions. Perhaps, you know, one interesting theory I heard about that stuff is the past, present, and future all happening at one time. And when we're interacting with spirits that we think, it's that it's bleeding over. You know, when we hear a disembodied voice and it says hello, we may be bleeding over to the past or bleeding over to the future, and they've heard our disembodied voices, and we're just all interacting with each other. You know, these were great questions you asked, because like this is that seasoned advanced thinking that it will keep you up at night a little bit. It doesn't, the nostalgia for the game isn't gone, but it becomes a little more chaotic, you know, like it's like, whoa, this is a little more in depth.
I mean, like you talked about, there's 3 different types of people, you know, scientific, feeling, religion. Now, are we ever going to find the answer? But what we got to look at, does any of that overlap? Maybe that's where we have to start. You know?
I think the way I look at it, you know, in our time right now, okay, we had the Victorian era and they were messing around with this stuff. Actually, you know, people have talked about these things for a long, long time. Spirits, ghosts, all this stuff. The Victorian era opened the door with them really trying to communicate with spirits. And, you know, you got Edison creating the telephone to the dead. You had Tesla talking about this stuff as well. Actually, he was talking more about aliens with his energy work. But with what the tools we have in our hand now we are making some advances, but I'm not exactly sure if we're there yet that we can make that break. It may take another 100 years. I don't think it will always be a forever mystery. I think humanity's too curious that we are going to keep chiseling away at it till we get it. The way that I try to contribute to the game of like solving. Now, I could sit here and just come up with all these theories, ideas, blah, blah, blah. But I've learned that maybe I am not good enough to finish the game. It's like a big puzzle. Right. And the one thing I've done with the properties is, you know, I love watching people come in. There's so many new people. There's a whole new generation getting interested. They have their own ideas, their own way of doing it. And I like getting those people excited because the next breakthrough may be with one of those individuals. So we need, instead of having such a toxic community, which we do exist in, but again, humanity's toxic. We could be a part of the sewing club. And I bet they're brutal. No, Betty, you can't sit at our table. Like it's brutal wherever you go. But what I've learned about that toxicity is I try to be a little bit of the beacon of the light. You bring people in, hey, people are going to be shit regardless, but be a part of this community, help work on the puzzle. We can figure this out because these are some very, very important questions. My backstory is I dropped out of college for this shit. I dropped out of 5 years of political science, international security, and counterterrorism. I had a 5-year ride at Slippery Rock University, and one EVP. And to any kids watching this, college is don't do it. Just get right into the workforce, make some money. But I jumped out of that, and one EVP. I dropped out of college. I had 6 credits left to go to Washington D.C. for an internship. That EVP, because I've always been a science nerd, was like, whoa. Because I used to make fun of the shows. All these shows were bullshit. Yeah. And once you start getting the evidence on your own, and this is why I love skeptics. I am not going to be that guy. Well, tonight Billy's a skeptic, but he's going to believe. No, Billy can be a skeptic as long as he wants, because you need to stay skeptical as long as you can, because the point of no return will come. You will see that shadow person. You will hear that disembodied voice. You will get something that tips you over the edge, and then you're on a show like this talking with us. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point of return.
All right, let's talk about equipment here. Talk about how we're making advances. And this is where my debate is going to start coming in. It's one reason why I created it. Is the equipment we are using helping or hurting the paranormal field? I think it's hurting. I think there's a lot of false positives, and people are believing and not the right thing.
100%. If I have to be real, like, here's the thing. I think a lot, we're like basically we're like cavemen with our equipment. That's the age we're in right now, right? Here's the dilemma. Let me explain why equipment may be misleading investigations, getting these false positives. You are very familiar with the Madison Seminary. You know, we have a haunting known as Sarah. Was Sarah's room there back when you investigated? Was it Sarah's room? Okay. Yes. I think you'd said that. All right. This is why, and I'm quite sure there'd be some owners that would love to capitalize on this. Like, I got a little demon child in my building, and it's a haunted Sarah, all this shit. I question that haunting, because I would love to know what team came in first before the Madison Seminary was even on the grid. Some team had to come in to establish these hotspots that are eventually going to be talked about later. That first team that came in, what equipment were you using? And please, God, tell me you weren't just a group of psychics going on feeling. Like, I feel there's a Sarah. That would throw me through a loop of just being pissed off and really talking shit. But what equipment did you use that night? How were you investigating? And how did you come to the conclusion that it was a definitive hit that there is a little girl named Sarah haunting in that specific room of the Madison Seminary? Were you using a bunch of REM pods? Were you asking your questions slow? Were you asking your questions fast? I don't even think the tactic of Estes method, which came from the Geinsfeld experiment, even existed back when this would have been established. So what tactics were you using? Was it a bunch of beepy lights going off right at a good sequence? Are you a girl? Are you a boy? And then did it just line up right? You know what I mean? How did we come to that definitive conclusion? I think that misleads a lot of hauntings at a lot of locations. You get what I'm getting to in my grievances. Is some of the equipment good? Yeah. I think the Ovilus is a piece of shit tool. When you look at it in theory, it's a database, right? Yes. It's like a 10,000, whatever X amount of words. And you're telling me you can fire this thing right up, and whatever word is said is a ghost talking to you. They figured out, like, if I put this X amount of energy into the device, I can get the word rabbit. But if I put this X amount of energy in, I can get the word road. You get what I'm saying? Like, what a piece of shit tool. But here's the thing where I try to, this is, in my position, it is still, you never get out of politics. It's social politics. I still have a lot of friends in my group, my whole circle, that really like the Ovilus. And I've got those that don't. So again, I listen to everybody. That's just my personal opinion from the breakdown. But yeah.
No, I mean, word banks, apps, I think they're all bullshit. That's my theory on it. I have friends that use apps. I have friends that use, Ovilus. Have at it. I'm game with it. If you want to use it, I'm not going to take any credit for it. Trust me. When you sit there, are you with me? And it goes outside, and you're like, oh, you're outside next to you. Oh, you're next to me. Rabbit hole. Oh, you're down the rabbit hole. Like, you can twist anything.
Yes, because every word becomes relevant, they think.
Right.
And it could just be, okay. The only way I could really defend the Ovilus, this would have to be an experiment where you set an Ovilus in a location for an X amount of time, and you allow whatever environmental energy or these floating EMF anomalies to trigger the device and every word in that database goes off. That's also a far stretch. That's to be like, then you've seen every word used in the database, which means theoretically, but not very strong, is that a spirit has understood how to manipulate every single word in that database. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like taking the obelisk to a brand new location. And unless something's following you that is very advanced, because this gets like into the Ghost Adventures theory. Why does the Ghost Adventures crew get so much evidence? Regardless of what people think about Zach and what they've been doing, I would believe that they do have a lot of attachments following them, which means they will never, ever, ever again have an investigation where they're communicating with the domestic haunting. It's more than likely a foreign haunting that's following them and just contaminating their investigation. But what I'm getting at with that is, if you do have these spirits that are following you, they must understand what you're using. They must understand when you pull out a digital voice recorder that you are trying to capture their voice in some form or another. And they may maybe tell other spirits how that works. And that's even like very soft thinking. It may not even work like that. We all assume there's the invisible people just hanging out, waiting for you when you come in the door. Like, what the shit, dude? Really? Like, what a terrible existence. Like, but
I mean,
yeah.
I was gonna say, you've been doing this for years. I mean, you can make a recording, put pauses in between it, and say words, and just go into a location with whoever and say, "Hey, I got this app. Let's try it out." And it's just a recording of "I'm behind you."
Oh yeah. What I heard on, I don't know which device it is. Maybe it's the opposite of that, but like you can actually program when the statistical, like a statistical value of how often a word is said,
Right.
due to EMF interference. Put an obelisk next to a microwave. Put it next to a refrigerator. See what happens. I don't mean to be blunt on this, but like, out of the means for experimentation, do that. See what
Yeah.
happens. They'll go crazy. They'll just start like ripping words out and stuff. But you can program it to say more common words like demon, trapped, get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's all, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Oh.
But that does get into a question you
Uh-oh.
asked. I'm hitting your big four that's on this paragraph. It says,
Okay.
why does some stay behind? And this gets into that question, like, are ghosts really just hanging out? Are they sitting at these properties waiting for people to come in? Why do some stay behind? And, the more I've thought about this is that this is my personal belief that, if you think about your grandparents, eventually the world passes everybody by. I'm a millennial, right? So to me, like, the world kind of capped. The nostalgia of the world was like the early 2000s, like 90s, 2000s, early 2000s. That's the way, like, I still remember the world at its like most magical time. And now we just exist. We float through the world. But if you look at the people that came before us, they kind of get stuck in a certain time period. Look at music, for example. There is a certain point where you peak on music, and I don't give a shit who's listening right now. Adam, that's so not even true. Yes, it will happen to you eventually, to where your musical taste will peak. And when you get into your 40s or your 50s and you listen to this new music that's coming out, you're probably not going to like it. You're not going to be able to connect with it. You're stuck in a certain time period. So I think spirits are the same way, with the way things used to look, the way furniture was set up, the way the world was operating. My grandparents were the people that used to have the TV on top of the other TV because they don't want to get rid of their old TV. And you walked into the house and it was like time capsuled. It was not modernized. Now, maybe grandparents now, which we're getting older, have modernized a little bit more, but like, you'd walk into their house and it was like, dang, dude, this is like you're walking back into the 60s, Yeah. And I think with ghosts, they get comfortable with that. And they don't, why do hauntings peak off when you're renovating a house? It's like you're disturbing what they remember. If they are there, they're trying to tether themselves to the last thing in this world they remember. If it's not family, if they're not ready to pass on, and we can get into that question, but like, if they're trying to just stay a little longer and hold on to a memory that is fleeting, it's that environment. They're remembering the things around them. And the minute you start changing that shit, oh, dude, you have destroyed the last thing that they remember. And it's going to get probably a little physical, perhaps, maybe poltergeist. Maybe that's what's causing it. They're just angry. But
Have you seen that in Madison at all?
Oh,
I
a
mean,
lot of poltergeists. Yeah. Well, here's the interesting thing. I try to make it look like home to them, and I tell the spirits that. I say when I first bought it in 2016, crazy walking around. I was telling all the spirits, "This is your home. I'm going to be taking care of it for a little while, but at the end of the day, this is still yours. I'm going to do my best to recreate it to, a turn of the century look all the way up into the 60s, various different decorations, the best that I can do with the crew that knows the layout and the formula." I've also told spirits that they're free to leave if they want to. But here's the thing, when you hear these spirits that say they're trapped or they can't leave, I don't think that's a human thing that we're doing. I think either they're stuck in some kind of trauma that they're just communicating. They feel trapped. Even in death, they still feel trapped. Even though, like in the asylum, when you go up there into the wing, all the doors are always open. It's not like we're closing doors. That's actually a thing. We always keep all the doors open, that you're free to go. I think if spirits do decide to stay there, their energy, their essence, whatever they are, it's because they're trying to hold on to a world that's no longer there. And this is their last battlefront. Because the minute you leave the seminary, man, the world has changed dramatically. Like, what the hell is a sheets? What the hell are these things with four wheels walking around, like driving around, Corvettes and stuff, Yeah, I have run into that though. But I think I've run into the reversal though. When I started getting the Civil War second floor wing furnished, I heard more disembodied voices. I heard like chatter between women, heard the phantom footsteps. It's almost like it elevated the activity, but that also raised another can of worms. You're bringing in items that are not from that location
right.
and putting it in there. Is that a foreign haunting I'm experiencing, or is it a mix of the domestic and or the foreign, like mixing?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I was
That's
talking
a
to one
tough
of
one.
your
It's inconclusive. It's hard. You can only speculate.
Yeah, I was talking to one of your guides one time because I brought a group there 2 years ago. Never really investigated before. They wanted to go there. Like, let's start with Madison. It's not that bad. It's not that scary.
Yeah, it's very easy.
We went there. It was nonstop all night. They were freaked out. I had someone
Oh,
leave.
shit. Remember what I said. Yeah.
And I was like, oh, damn, dude. Sorry about that. Like, I've been here so many times. It's been cool. Then the next time I went there, I was talking to your guide, and they're like, oh, Adam brought some stuff over from a place that I think you're trying to buy, but it had to be demolished or
Oh,
something.
yeah. Yep.
And I'm like, man, you can't be mixing that stuff in. Like,
Right.
I'm like,
yeah.
But like you said, is it another spirit that's, fighting with another spirit, trying to take,
Is it
be
even,
the
yeah,
alpha?
right. Or is it like, I can see, it's hard, and we'll get into the doll attachments because I feel like we're on the same page. But getting into item attachments, it's like, you bring these items and you're assuming a lot of people think a ghost actually comes with the item. If anything, it's more like stone tape theory. And for anyone that's not familiar with stone tape theory, that is the theory that the concrete, the brick, the wood, the mortar, all the things around us that we see are absorbing the energy of this environment. Us mainly, our voices are constantly being recorded, and this would later play what we may believe to be residual hauntings of the disembodied voices, the phantom footsteps. It could all be projected from that. But I think 95% of the time, these items that you are bringing in are covered with residual energy. It's more of a question of what does that residual energy do to the environment you bring it into. So, yeah. Yeah.
We'll talk about like haunted objects. I mean, I know that's the debate I'm coming up. I don't want to give too much about that. My take on that, a lot of people know my take on it. But I think haunted objects are more realistic than haunted dolls. And my theory is like a haunted object, you talk about piano, you talk about desk. If a desk has an attachment, it's because maybe that person wrote, books on the desk. That was their best time in their life, was sitting down writing books or sitting down playing piano. Dolls, yeah, I can't buy any doll stuff. That's just me. I don't know why someone would have a doll, and probably less than 4% might have an attachment to it. The rest are just because they're old and creepy.
I
Doesn't make
agree.
them haunted.
I think the majority of a haunting on a doll is residual. It's, let's say, a child loved that doll dramatically, like, you know what I mean, like, or that doll was in a house that experienced a lot of violence and trauma. That's just stained onto the doll. Does that mean there's an intelligence on the doll? No. But someone had said, I had a sensitive that came in once that said something really interesting about Maddie. Now, I don't know where Maddie came from. That's one of the dolls. So when I purchased, well, you knew Maddie was there at the time, right?
Maddie was there, yeah.
It's like, what the, dude, I'm walking, 2010 was the first time I was there. And of course, the ownership prior to this, they were not ghost hunters. They owned a nursery business. They just knew people like were crazy like us that wanted to go in, and we wanted to see if it was haunted, right? So of course they had said that, you know, this is Maddie. She's a haunted doll that's here. She belongs to one of the spirits. I don't even think she was in Sarah's room the first time I was there, maybe the second time. And then I was told it was Sarah's doll, and it's like, how convenient. How convenient a place gets shut down, and this ghost spirit. Now, it had to have been brought in by somebody, because the seminary, the actual like Department of Health closes in 72 or so. Like, then it shuts down. It sits vacant for a few years. The police department takes over. They're there from 1980 to 86-ish. And then they transfer to another department out here on Hubbard. It sits vacant from 86 to about 93 until the former ownership bought it. So where in this time, like, it's not from any of the women that were senile here at the turn of the century. Plus, also, we know it's a Patty Pack and Play from the 1950s. So it cannot exceed the 50s. You get what I'm saying? Like, I can't point its origin. My explanation would be a team in the very, very beginning. Who knows? It might have been the very first team that discovered Sarah, may have brought that doll that night and left it there. But there's no carbon footprint of their investigation or anything they did, you know. So we're not going to know. We can only speculate on that. This sensitive said, though, because that doll gets so much attention, that spirits would be drawn to that because of the attention it gets. And that was a small turning point to me, because I'm not saying dolls are haunted. I think that is the stupidest gimmick for any location to say we have this huge room of haunted dolls. If the, like, what is it, Robert the doll down in Key West?
Yeah.
Or you've got Annabelle. If it is so sought after by the public at large, then it is possible there could be an attachment to it simply because it knows there's going to be a lot of people and the attention to it. Right. But if you go to a Goodwill and you just find a creepy ass doll on the counter, you're like, oh, I just feel like it's haunted. I don't know. No, I can't get behind that. Maybe a residual stain of energy, but I really doubt. I'm trying to come up with a scenario, because I would like to see. I'm playing devil's advocate from all angles. Like, maybe the doll consists of human hair. Maybe the doll has human teeth in it. You know, I've seen some crazy contraptions of dolls. It's a very long shot, but I'm with you. I lean not towards that. You know,
I mean, it has to be less than 2%.
Less than 2%, yeah.
I mean,
I'm not going to rule it out completely, because we're in the realm of the unknown. But I'm with you on those numbers. That's pretty healthy to say 98% of the cases. Just no.
Oh, because I bought an antique store. It's old. Well, you know, 40 years, I'm going to be an antique, and I'm going to be old. So am I going to be haunted? I mean,
right.
Come on, man. So let's talk about Madison real quick, because it's been bothering me. I talked to you a little bit about this. What the hell is up with the stories just popping up?
The what popping up?
The stories.
Yes.
The portal in the closet Sarah's room. When did that come about?
So from what I've heard, back in the day, people had said that Sarah's closet was a portal. That's what we were told by former ownership. I honestly forgot about that for many years. I'm not the biggest believer in portals, but I'll get into our experiment with portals. The question when it comes to portals, and this is what's so tough, and this is a huge debate question, this will get people fired up and fighting each other, it's the chicken and the egg theory. What came first? When you say portal, did the portal exist in that location before you came there? Or did we create the portal by maybe thinning the veil, by communicating heavily in that area? There's people on both sides of that argument. I guess how I feel about portals, if they exist, well, I think everything can be a portal. What is a portal? Because when you think of portal, something's coming through it, right?
Right.
These things would already exist in this plane. They wouldn't need a portal per se, unless you're thinking of something that tethers from one location to another. That would make more sense, but that's a whole different rabbit hole that may be not even relatable. So when it comes to portals, I do not stand on anything in Sarah's room. I know that there's something crazy going on in that area. I think it's self-induced. I think by us all communicating with something, maybe we created the haunting there. But I will say there's something intelligent that is there now, that likes to bite back at times. It's very, very smart. It knows when it wants to come out. It understands puppetry. But then Jeff Fenn and I got together, and this gets into the mirror room that we created on the first floor on the opposing side of the caretaker's wing. It is a 6x6x6 cube. That's how the measurements came out, of mirrors. And it's based on something called a devil's toy box. I'm not a big believer in demons. I was raised Catholic. I'm not very religious. Never really, I can't really get behind the demon thing. I think if they do exist, they got more important things to do than try to possess ghost hunters. Why wouldn't you be trying to infiltrate the Pentagon or, places of high interest if you existed? But with the mirror room, and this is a question I can ask you, what do you know about facing mirrors at each other?
Suppose they create portals. I don't believe in that stuff, but
right. I ask people this all the time. Why? People say, well, that's bad, you shouldn't do that. But like, why? Is that a wives' tale or something that got spread down from the Victorian era? I want to do it for research, because I said to Jeff, let's try. What would happen? And here's where it comes down to the subjectiveness of the investigator, right? Every investigation is open to the subjectivity of the user. If you were to show me evidence from your investigation, I'm just observing it. I was not there. I don't know all the situation that was happening, all the circumstances, the different kind of feels that were happening, and even some more of the evidence that hasn't been presented, right? It's interesting, the things that happen to people when they do Estes in there, when they do EVP recordings and stuff. Is it because mirrors? That's something they've said for a long time, like mirrors shouldn't be facing each other, creates an infinity loop, all these things travel to the mirrors. Again, if you interview Jeff, or even just talk to Jeff, he'll say the same thing. We're sitting on the back porch, just a 15-minute discussion. We're like, let's do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people that say they've experienced nothing in there, and I had a lot of people say that, like, man, their Estes was crazy. Could that be the subjectivity of the user? Possible. Very possible.
I think it's just like Sarah's room, the detention, because people are going to the devil's toy box. Everybody's doing devil's toy box. Everybody's doing Sarah's. So it's not the mirrors that are created. We're creating the haunting in there.
So that would get into the portal idea, maybe, that like we're creating these hotspots where spirits. Well, again, there's some investigators out there that think a spirit, like Sarah's room, Sarah hangs out in Sarah's room the whole time, right? Just waiting for someone to come in. These spirits can, I believe, free roam throughout the building. They could follow people, then again, it's very ballsy to even say we're talking to the same Sarah. The Sarah you talked to on your night may have not been the same Sarah I was talking to on my night. This could be the mimic theory of spirits just jumping in and out, and they know the script. They know to be the perfect actress because they've heard the history over and over again. They've heard the theories we have about them, and they're like, oh, we'll be this theory tonight. Okay, cool. But the same haunting that's happening with Sarah could be coming over to the mirror room because there's a heavy traffic going in there. Just like you said, that's very, very, very plausible.
All right. So newest one I heard lately, Madison, twins in the attic.
That's new to me.
Okay, good.
Here's the thing, and I'll say about this, and I get a lot of scrutiny for this because teams will come in and say this to me, like, you should know you're the owner. I don't exit interview teams. Right. Now here's, this gets interesting to how we started this. I think, we're lagging a little bit.
You're good.
Okay. All right. It was just glitchy here on mine. That, a haunting evolves after all this time. The haunting when you first walked in 19 years ago, and the haunting I experienced 16 years ago, or even before that was 2010. 16 years ago. It's different than it is now. So what is being brought into a location? What I can say is, you have the foreign versus domestic haunting. I don't know what is domestic still there. I don't know. It probably, if you think about like things get buried over time, think of it like layers of the earth. It just keeps getting buried. It's still there, but you have to dig for it, right? You got to peel these layers back. But every investigation, your investigation, my investigation, the thousands of investigations that have happened here are all creating sediment, a layer of the haunting that eventually is going to, it's contaminating it, right? It's contaminated. It's like going to a beach and leaving your trash there. And then we push sand back over it. We clean it up, but that trash is still there, right? There's layers. Someone that night may have experienced something, but then you got to debate. Was it an attachment that followed in there? Or did you see two shadow people at the same time from opposite ends? Because I've heard this where, you know, you get two shadow peeps there and it's like, well, they're twins. I think I vaguely remember this now, someone talking about that. I mean, I've heard 1,000 different things.
I know.
But that's the thing. That's not ground for law. And even we can't be the jurisdiction. No. I was telling the crew this, that over time, there were a lot of people that did a lot of shit talking. That's not the Madison Seminary. I remember before you bought it, you changed the whole haunting. It's like, well, first off, listen, there are things happening. And if it happens enough, you know, or, you know, the crew has investigated that place a lot. We have dubbed a few rooms with names. That helps us identify maybe situations that happen that were canon events. You know, you got the room we've called the Mind Warp room, but it probably had a name before we got there. We just call it Mind Warp because there have been some interesting cases of people having very, very messed up situations or circumstances in there or experiences. You know, now, again, in 10 years, can the haunting evolve again? 100%. Yeah. We've already seen it. It's going to happen. And when we're well, long and gone, and someone's watching this podcast 100 years in the future for footnotes, they're going to find this to be very interesting, but they're going to be like, what the hell are they talking about? Sarah's room? There's no Sarah. That's Jolene or something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
But I mean, like you said, creating hauntings, and that just doesn't go for room to room. That goes for the whole building. So what does Madison Seminary have that the building down the street doesn't have? You know, why isn't that? It's because we're asking the questions.
Yes.
So if a spirit wants to be heard, they're going to go where people are asking questions.
Yes.
So, I mean, they may not be attached to the building, but they're
100%.
attached to the. So
here's what it comes down to, and I call this like open mic night, right? You do have a domestic haunting. You had over 250 some women we know passed away in the seminary. The ledger book goes on and on. There's a lot of women that passed away in that building, right? That'd be your domestic layer. So you would have an advantage going to the seminary and maybe experiencing something versus the neighbor, right? But maybe you get a lot of splash effect. Maybe it's just so close because the land was attached to that one time. Maybe the experience of their house and they just don't tell me. You know, like if I actually maybe sat down with them, like, man, every night we hear weird noises and footsteps, and it's probably a splash because of the radius of the seminary. But let's say we go to the other side of Madison right now. This is in Madison, Ohio. We go to the other side of town. And we start having people investigate there. Like, just tell ghost hunters, this place, it's called the Brian theory, where you just tell people that it's haunted by a little boy named Brian, have investigators go in, and according to the theory, eventually they're going to start getting answers of a ghost saying his name's Brian, things like that. You're getting an intelligent response. This could get into mimic, though. There could be a man named Paul there with like, shit, they don't even know my name is Paul. And if I say Paul, they keep asking for Brian. So I'm just going to be Brian.
Right.
But if you were to go to those houses and heavily investigate it, I believe you can create any spot to be haunted because of its popularity. If you have a revolving door of people coming in and out of there, you're going to have attachments that go into that place. They're going to stay there for a little bit. They're going to attach to other people. They're going to leave. And it's going to be this revolving door. So really you could do it anywhere. One of my theories or my plans was to, you know, buy a house with no history to it whatsoever and just let the community investigate there and see what rolls with it, with no deaths there, no anything. That would be a very interesting experiment to see what happens. Let the community write the narrative, you know?
Right. I always tell, like, a lot of people on the show, like, I love to own a haunted location. Well, just sit in your house, start asking questions.
There you go. You already got one.
You'll have one.
It's true. Because I think a lot of people are like, oh, we don't investigate at our house. We investigate when we go out. Dude, that gets into a lot of, I've got deep questions here of like that stuff. It's like, I don't know how to set, could you set boundaries for the dead? Yeah, maybe. That would come with like intent and, you know, output of energy maybe. It's like the power of prayer. like regardless if anyone believes in religion or not, if you are putting that much power into a thought and you get a group of people praying in a room, yeah, weird stuff starts to happen because
Yeah.
we are manifesting an energy to do that. Could you put those boundaries up and say like, no, ghosts can't follow me home, things like that?
No.
I don't think it's always going to work, if any.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I think they're going to follow you no matter what. You know, but that was one of the questions I had here. It's like, it's controversial topics. One of the controversial topics was, does protection work? Beck and I went to Sheboygan Asylum up in Wisconsin for a tour. And I've never seen how other properties run. Like literally in my 16 years, I have stayed close to home to base. Like I am a majority of the time either at the Madison Seminary or the Fairfield County Infirmary, or I travel over to ISS to help with events we have going there. I don't travel outside of the network often. So I hear a lot of complaints from the community of their complaints of how other locations are running things. And there's other locations that people love. You know, I could have a whole show called Paranormal Bartender. I can tell you at large what the community thinks of places, but we went to Sheboygan and this was very interesting. And shout out to Frank. He was one of the guides there that night. We had to leave early and he gave us a little private tour because we drove like 10 and a half hours. We were out visiting family in the area. But when we started that tour, the one tour guide said, if you have protection on, take it off. I was like, wow, that's interesting. Like, not that I'm in that ballpark. I don't carry protection, but I'm like, holy shit. You try to do this in an area like in Ohio where we have a lot of traffic, you're going to have a lot of irate people. Like, I'm not taking my cross off. I'm not taking my rocks off. And now here's the power of like groups. It's like if you were to do an experiment and we all see the color red and there's 20 of us that see the color red on the wall, but the 19 of us say, no matter what happens, say it's blue. What's interesting, what happens to that last 20th person that's like the last one up, and it's like, dude, that's red, but everyone's saying blue. I guess, shit, I'll say it's blue. And it was interesting how everyone surrendered their protection when people started doing it. Another thing is just weird. The lady goes, we're getting rid of this because this is a ghost town, which I was like, oh, shit, I just wanted a historical tour. I was like, fuck, I did not sign up for this shit. But they did that, and I was like, wow, very interesting. You know what I mean? That comes onto a certain kind of belief. Like, does protection do that? And I guess in their case, they do believe that would work, right? So,
right.
I don't know.
That's the whole thing. You're talking about protection, and I don't have anything. I just believe my positive attitude and my belief is what works. But I do find it funny when people are like, "You can't follow me home." Like, if I'm a spirit, that's an invitation, dude. Like, let's get game on. We're gonna have some fun now.
I guess I will be following you home. I had my own plans tonight, but I will be following you.
So I mean, but if you believe that works, then I think that would, because I think it's mind over matter, majority of this stuff, anyways.
Yeah.
We talk about, you said something about sensitives. That's a sensitive topic too.
It is a sensitive topic, but I think a lot of sensitives are full of shit. Yes. I've seen a lot come in. This is nothing new, a new topic for me. Again, I didn't think when I first got into ghost hunting that I would have the opportunity to see the community at large. And I really appreciate it. I'm not talking down on that. That is a huge privilege to be able to see, because I didn't realize how big the community is. I think, when we hold these paracons, large groups come up and you got a lot of teams, but I need to emphasize how large the paranormal community is, especially concentrated within Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York, Indiana. We've got the highest concentration of ghost hunting teams out here. But that means you get to meet a lot of interesting people. And there are a lot of sensitives that I think are full of shit. And it's really tough though to say, because I've met some really good ones that I think are very legitimate, that do have a special gift, that their brain works very interestingly. But in our day and age, it's hard for me to believe everyone that comes to the door, because Madison Seminary is so heavily put out online.
Right.
I mean, do type in Madison Seminary on Google and dude, video after video after documentation of this stuff comes in. And if I wanted to be a fraud tomorrow and be like, dude, Adam Kimmell is a psychic now. You know what I mean? It's like, I could, if I wanted to do that, I'd just go through Google and just read all these things and then just be very vague, try to put on a good act, like, and I've seen some of the acting. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's too funny, because I just messaged someone the other day, I think Elise from Alabama Paranormal, sent her a picture. I'm like, I'm going to self-declare as a psychic medium because it's a cool thing to do.
Yes, I've seen a lot of investigators do this. Like, and I will never, I've had people say, "Oh, Adam, you're sensitive." It's not. It's because it's like we've been doing the game long enough that, yeah, maybe we get in touch with things a lot, but I don't get visions. I don't,
Right.
and if I do, it's a 1% thing where I'll get like this weird thought through my head. But is it just me being crazy all the time? You know what I mean? Like, but I've seen this popular trend where people are investigating for a while and then it's getting a little stale and be like, by the way, guys, I'm sensitive. Like I've just opened up my abilities more. Now, yes, I do believe probably because we've got the CIA that have experimented with psychic phenomena. It's probably our brains are not like I think 93% of the human brain is unmapped. We probably all have abilities, but unlocking it in a very particular niche of things that we do, like the paranormal, I don't think so.
I think we're all sensitive because we all had that feeling sometimes.
To a degree, yeah. We get the Spider-Man sense. Yeah, to a degree we've got it, but we're not like
but we're not declaring
through
it.
Yeah, we're not declaring and be like, oh my God, I can see them walking through the room like this. There's only been a very small percentage of people I think that like have it.
Right.
And that would be very interesting to do like an MRI scan of the brain. Take someone like us simple apes, and have our brain as an example. Like what lights up? What part of the brain when we're thinking about things lights up? And then take someone who is a known sensitive and do an MRI of their brain. Is it possible there's a part of the brain somewhere deep that's lighting up that ours is like dark and gray? You know what I mean? That would be interesting to me to see.
Right. Our minds just want to create something though, even as adults.
100%.
Think about when we were kids. There was a creature under your bed. There was a creature in your closet. You were scared to move. In your mind, that monster was real under your bed. That's the same thing we're doing now when we walk into a haunted location.
100%. And here's the thing, like why eyewitness accounts are the weakest in court. It's because, it's not a very good defense to have someone come as a witness, because the more you think about a thought, you corrupt the file. And even if you only get fragmented bits of something, you see something really quick, right? Let's say a team experiences a paranormal event and they see a shadow person. I saw an incredible shadow person. This is real. I saw an incredible shadow person outside of the wing of Sarah. It's like going in the opposite direction. And the more I think about it, I'm like, what did I really see? And I know, like, in that moment, I can see it now, but this thing was only there for a second and a half. It's like burned in my memory, but the more I look at it, it's like I'm losing the definitive, like, imagery of it, So it's like, but then the brain wants to fill in. Saw an incredible shadow at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. The craziest thing. This thing was just standing at the end of the hallway, and it was there for a good 15 seconds. Didn't give a shit about us. What was that thing? And the more I think about it, it's like, what was that? And your brain's trying to replay it. Because again, we try to fill in this stuff. So imagine, I think the hardest thing for a psychic is, what is a foreign thought and a domestic thought that you're trying to overlap, where the imagination's coming in to fill a void that the foreign misses. Yeah.
And the one thing about the paranormal, we can't prove that someone's full of shit or not. That's the hardest part.
We can't. I mean,
and I think we're talking about sensitives. We're talking about dolls. We can't prove that doll's not haunted. We just think it's full of shit. I mean, that's just our opinion. And that's what kind of stinks about the paranormal. I wish we can have more proof, like, no, it's not. Or, no, you're not as sensitive. I believe a lot of sensitives out there actually believe they're sensitives.
And that could trip like a lie detector would be very interesting. Put these people in a lie detector. But if you put a person that really believes under a lie detector, doesn't matter then, right? They really believe. So it would be tough to tell. The longer you work with people, then it maps out. It's not like someone's going to impress you. I've met some people that like try to impress you the first day. They'll come running down like, I see all this stuff. Like, no, if we're going to do this shit, all right, and I'm going to affiliate with you, we would need to do this for a long, long time. And I hate to say that because any psychic is always going to be tested. There's not this point where you get to the point and everyone just believes what you say. It is a constant trial and tribulation. But, that's the ones I meet. And they're almost like wanting their report card at the end. Did I do good? Did I pick up on stuff? I'm like, I don't give a shit if you got 99% of it correct. You can't pass the test in one day. It's going to have to be a very, very long working relationship, and it will be very painful. And when we get there, then there'll always be questions, with it.
And you know, I've worked with Stephanie too, Pitts, Haunted Havens, whatever her name is now.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, psychic medium, fair, you know, but the couple times I investigated with her, she didn't bloat about it. She just went about investigation and had a good time. And that's what it's about too.
Mhm.
But like you said, there's a lot of people out there saying, I am a psychic, or there is someone standing behind you. No, there's not. Like, come on, dude. Like, there's no one
Well, yeah,
behind you.
anyone can say that. Anyone can say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Here's what I've learned, and again, let's keep throwing these hot topics. Is that it's very popular to teams to have a psychic, right?
Right.
You know, we have Rebecca with us. I've worked with her for 14 years. And trust me, she's been thrown through the ringer. She's blown my mind tons of times, but it wasn't going to happen overnight to know that. But I've noticed that a lot of teams have a psychic, and their psychic is 100% absolutely correct. Can't be questioned. If another psychic's there, well, our psychic didn't pick up on that, so it's not real. Here's what I can say to defend psychic phenomena, because all people are not built different or are built the same. You and I are very alike with a lot of our thoughts, but our brains are not designed the same way. They do not fire the same way. There's always going to be some little knack of difference. I have said this many times before. This is in the defense of psychic phenomena, is that I've had people say, well, if you have 10 psychics walk through the building, they should all pick up on the same stuff. No, you simple little ape with your stone equipment and your little fire. That is not how it works. That's cute, but you're light years away. The way I would look at it is, if you were to take 10 people, you, me, and 8 others, and we're watching the movie Titanic. We're all sitting in the theater. We can even bullshit and talk because all these psychics are walking around talking to each other, whatever. We're all watching the movie. We can talk. We can reference what's going on. The minute Titanic, I'm just using this as an example because everyone knows Titanic. The minute the movie's over, we're immediately exit interviewed. Ryan, you're taking that way. I'm taking this way. We got people asking us questions, and they're like, hey, you just got done watching this 3-hour movie. Please tell me the most significant scene that resonated with you. And you're going to say something. The odds of us both having we only get to say one thing, but we all saw the same movie. It's very likely that all 10 of us are going to resonate something different. Like, oh, that rich man took that girl and said, she's all I have. Please put me on the boat with her. Or someone's going to be like, dude, there was definitely enough room on the door for Rose for Jack to get on. Mm-hmm. Or, man, a pair of binoculars could have saved the Titanic. We're all seeing the same movie, but something resonated differently. So when you take those 10 psychics in, some of them may have different honed in abilities to different layers. It appears, and I'm not exactly sure how that works, but some psychics seem to pick on more of like a certain era. That's a whole rabbit hole to itself to why. Oh, yeah. But you're seeing 178 years of history. That's just in the building. That's not going past the land. You know, it's very peculiar to me that they all would pick up on the same thing. There's just so many layers to gravitate towards. So that would defend the phenomena, because I know the phenomena is real. I just don't think everyone's in the club. So,
right. I mean, then you talk different dimensions. Are they picking up on different dimensions too?
When you say dimensions, you mean like?
I mean, it could be layers of like history.
Layers, yeah. Like yeah. This is okay. You know, it's funny because I wrote that down. Are there different dimensions? The way that I thought about that is that how it's possible and how they may not even see each other is like, think about when you're doing an Estes method, right? And anyone listening to this, think about this very common question. We do this all the time. How many spirits are here? Interestingly enough, let that question ride. Let it ride. Your instinct will be to ask another question right after you get your answer. Let it ride and see if you get different numbers. Yeah. You know, see if you get one answer is 12 and you wait a little bit longer, ride it. Fight your intrusive thoughts to talk. Actually, the best advice in the paranormal is just shut up and listen, because everyone wants to yap when you're doing EVPs and Estes. Let these questions ride. Give them the time to respond. Anyway, you get the number 12, and then you get 4, and you get 8, or ask them what year it is. You're not going to get probably the most present year. You're going to get a year from the past. And let's go back to those numbers being different. It may be a theory that let's say we're in Sarah's room and we get different numbers. We get the number 6, 8, and 12. And you got to think all of those dimensions or layers can hear us. but they can't hear each other. So when we're communicating, each of them think we're trying to talk directly to them, but when they talk back, we're just getting their answers. That would explain why you get so many, like if you're trying to stay on one linear topic, it gets thrown off. That may be a smoking gun to the dimensions or the layers, you know?
Let's talk about EVPs then, because there's a theory out there, the frequency of your recorder, captures different EVPs. And I've witnessed that personally myself. Two different recorders, one has nothing, the other one has a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So not dimension wise, but different frequency.
It could be different frequencies, how the device is made. A lot of people hate the DR60. I've got a lot of people that criticize it. One of my first arguments, and I said, it's just probably because you're too poor and you can't afford one. Love throwing that out there. They're very expensive, but I've tested that thing time and time again. And I was buying these things when they were like back in 2010 and $300. I've heard people say, oh, you're picking up on radio waves. Like, shut the fuck up. What do you even know about that stuff? Bring out the schematics and show me how radio waves work, because you're such a scientist. Here's the thing is, like, I did this thing. There's Greg Larson, brilliant individual. He runs the Indiana State Sanatorium. So, of course, the first time we meet, he does not believe in the paranormal whatsoever. And we're doing this EVP session because I just had my equipment there. But he's like, "Show if you think ghosts are real, show me something." I'm like, "Oh, goddamn, here comes the circus act. I got to do something." So I happen to have the DR60s with me, and I always do the word banana because of the phonetics. It's just easy to hear. I get so many people like, "That's the word you pick." It's like, it's because I'm thinking smarter. Is that we want to hear easy phonetics? Why pick this crazy word of like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? You know what I mean? Like, but there's something he said, audio relics. It's that if you say that word in the recording, that it's actually recorded in there. And I get it. Actually, it's a valid argument he had for that. I did play back the recording. It was maybe a class B, and we heard banana in the phonetics. What I did was I didn't say the word banana in the recording. It wasn't 1, 2, 3. Can you please say banana? It was, I'll say right now, hey, when I turn this recorder on or this device that's going to capture your voice, I need you to only say the word banana and just keep repeating that, okay? On the count of 3, say it. And then I say 1, 2, 3, go ahead and say that word. I have not said the word banana anywhere in that recording, but let's go further to defend EVPs against audio relics. How many times when you fire up your recorder are you saying, help me, get out? You know, in your recording, do you say, hey, can you say get out for us? That's the argument of an audio relic. That's going to you're just hearing an old recording in there. I think there is a specialty to the DR60, not even the other QR. There's like a QR80 or whatever, but I respect people for doubting it. It's one of those things like stay skeptical as long as you can. I have used that device for over 14 years now. I can tell you when one of those is about to break. I know that there are certain, I promised myself not to drop names on your podcast tonight. I saved that for getting banned on TikTok Live. There are celebrity ghost hunters that have the DR60s that I can tell you, if they ever try to sell those, do not buy them. Their speakers are popped. They have dropped the recorders. When you get them constantly screaming and you just hear, ah, and they're like, oh my God, the spirits are so angry here. That's actually no anomaly captured. Your speaker is broken and it's creating that thing. I own 28 of them. I should know, I've seen what the broken ones do. And it's one of those things where it's very tough because if you buy one, that's a huge risk and investment. And I can actually tell you when those recorders popped off in price. Nick Groff came out to film Paranormal Lockdown, and he had a DR60. Now, in the beginning of RU, I always would tape that up because it was like I didn't want the market. It's like when you know something's good, the minute you put it out there, people come in and they'll buy those and then they'll jack the price up. They don't care about ghost hunting. It's a capitalist society. It's a capitalist market. They're going to know what to do. Groff comes and he pulls one out. And he's like, oh, you've used these before. And I'm like, I have. And he's like, you look so surprised. And my response was, I see you're not covering up the Panasonic. You're not covering that up. And he's like, oh, no, it's fine. I'm like, it's not. It's not fine, actually, because even the Constantinos on Ghost Adventures, you never really saw them holding that. Like, you wouldn't see any clips of it because they didn't want people to, like, saturate the market. After lockdown came out, I remember checking eBay, and they jumped up from like 600-700 to almost the 1,500 at that time, and now I think some of them value 3,000. Again, people can, again, the opinions of all these recorders and what's happening. It could be, Olympus is designed a certain way. There's the Olympus recorders, there's the Sony recorders. They're all different devices. They're all imperfect devices. Some work a little better for capturing the phenomena. I mean, we can go on for hours about that, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I have mine. I bought this actually the first time I went to Madison, same recorder. I think it cost me like $25 at Walmart.
Cheaper the better. And you got to think
And
these 80s recorders, they were cheap,
yeah, and I mean, I have 2 other ones I bought, more expensive. I go back to my old one. That's my baby.
I tell people all the time, to anyone listening, avoid the most expensive recorders at Walmart or wherever. They are designed to take out the ambient noise. The tech has come so far that you could have radiate noise, you could have the air conditioner running, all these different things running, and it knows how to voice isolate. That's not good for the phenomena. You need these archaic devices from the 80s that were rough, that created their own little artificial white noise that assists in the phenomena. So yeah, cheaper the better, man. Go to a garage sale, go to Goodwill, and look in their electronics section. Sometimes you'll find people just throwing out these old janky 80s electronics. That stuff's gold. That's gold.
Yeah, that's so you bought Madison Seminary. There's another question I had. Did you ever expect it to take off like it did?
Yes. So here, I always give this disclaimer to warn people: don't try to actively go and buy a location. You got to be very crazy. I'm going to tell you right now, like be the David Goggins of the paranormal, because the amount of work that goes into it. People think that I investigate 24/7 because I have a property. Bullshit, dude. I'm the head of the maintenance department. That is what I am. When I'm on tour with people, they're like, Adam, you're staring at the ceiling. Did you see a crawler? No, I think I see a leak. You know what I mean? Like, I got to constantly be on this thing. This is Madison Seminary is a 34,000 square foot structure. Fairfield County Infirmary, a little bit bigger. These buildings, they require a lot of work, a lot of money. Did I? Yes. And this is like the Elon Musk approach of understanding a business. I started investigating back in 2010.
Okay.
And that's like visiting a restaurant. You want to get into the restaurant business, go to a bunch of restaurants and see how they operate. See what the environment's like, because if you're going to open a restaurant, learn from the competition. It wasn't really a fact of learning from the competition. It was that I understood there were people out me that like to ghost hunt. So, and another thing is like protecting the game you love. There were a lot of locations. I remember in the beginning, the nostalgia of going to this place, like we lost Bobby Mackey's. There's a lot of locations we've lost that unless we're going to step in to protect it, you're just rolling the dice that they're still going to be there. So if we step in to save the locations, yes, it's there. And I had been to Madison Seminary back in 2010 was the first time, 2014. And then on my 32nd birthday back in 2016, July 23rd. That was the last time that I was there prior to not owning it. And I just saw the place was just going down in deterioration. And Madison Seminary was the second place I'd ever investigated in my entire career. And it just was that nostalgia. We all remember those first locations and how special they were because the magic is still there. And I was like, oh shit, I love this place. I need to protect this place. And I don't know what came over me because there was like no way in my mind this would have ever worked. But anyone that knows me in my close circle, I am borderline psychopath. Crazy with the ideas, the idea guy. And it just happened to work. Did I ever have a question of it being successful? Not at all. I believe full force in the paranormal community. They're some of the great. This is one of the greatest. It may be dubbed one of the toxic communities. Again, humanity's toxic. One of the greatest communities is the paranormal community. There are so many good people that outshine the bad in this game. And I've always known that and believed in that. And that is the exact community that has made Madison Seminary so successful, Fairfield, ISS. So yeah, to answer that question, 100%. Okay. And if I had to go back in time and do it again, I would absolutely do it all the same way again. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I interview a lot of people on my podcast, and I always tell them like Madison Seminary is my favorite. And there's a reason for that. I mean, again, first place I investigated.
Right.
Way back in the day.
Nostalgia.
And they're always like, dude, I want to go to Madison. Like even people all the way out west, California, want to
Yeah.
come to Madison. I mean, it's a name that
Yeah.
people want to go to, and I love it because you have so many different spirits there.
It's an interesting lineup.
You can go to the attic and get freaked out. You can go down to Sarah's room and play with George, whoever Sarah is. Then the grave
It's
room
interesting. Yeah.
is
Oh, go
kind of
ahead.
the grave room's kind of losing. It doesn't seem like too many people are huge into the grave room anymore.
Which one's the grave room? Or with the hole in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just talking to a group there tonight. And here's the thing. It's interesting. There was a topic that had come up. Someone had asked me in an interview, do you think Madison Seminary is overplayed? I'm like, no, because I would say that hauntings go to sleep. Any location. Like, it's like people would say, like, OSR. Well, I'm trying to think. Madison Seminary is probably extremely visited because of the pricing. And I say that with confidence. I'll talk mad shit because I've had people talk shit on me. Adam's all about the money. Listen, I have not changed the price to Madison. Actually, when you went there, I'm not sure what he charged then.
It was $30 a person.
$30 a person, right?
Same as you.
When I went, exactly, because it was like up to 10 you could do or something. Back when I first investigated the Madison Seminary, a weekday was 300. Maybe the weekend was 300 too. I just made it 300 and 500. That was back in 2016. The economy has up and down. You see these locations that are like, we have to up our price because of the economy. That's basically saying you guys are going to have to foot the bill for the maintenance. Okay, I've kept the prices the same, and I put a brand new roof on the Fairfield County Infirmary. So these places that are telling you they got to ARP charge you, they can sit down because they're pocketing your money. They're pocketing your money. And again, this should be obvious. I'm not in the good old boys club. There isn't like this secret society of owners that get together. I'm not in it. I'm not in that club. I'm a very independent. Like I have a lot of property owners I run with that I give huge endorsements to, like Bill Manor, Hinsdale House. You go down the line. These are good people that do not charge a lot. And there's a whole sector of properties I don't play with. Like I may go visit their property, but I'm not giving you an endorsement because you shouldn't be charging a team $1,500 for like 5 hours. Why don't you just rob them? Just take the money out of their pocket. Anyway, I digress. That is I said we're going to be good tonight. little low amount of shit talking, but
it's all good.
What was the original question again?
I have no idea.
Fuck.
I can tell you when I first went to Madison.
Oh, overplayed.
It was not
overplayed. We'll get back to that. Yeah, overplayed.
It wasn't up to 10 people. His son said, just give me $30.
Yeah.
And have fun. Like there was no reserving it. You just kind of called him on the phone, said, hey. I'll be there.
The perk, the plus and the negative is that, if you could get in, awesome. But dude, I tried reaching out so many times in 2014. It was the first time. 2010, they're pretty receptive. 2014, it's just me having a conversation with myself. I'm like, oh, damn, I'll pay you double. Just let me in. I need in. I need a hit. Because it's ghost hunting. We need it. And dude, so it was so difficult. But yeah, dude, it was like cheap. It was cheap. I remember the $30 thing, and it was like just 30 per person, however you want. But again, like it was the Wild West, and the building was filled with trash. Like it was filled with trash, dude. There was like, I remember there was like packing peanuts in some rooms. You couldn't get in the middle building. That was their operation room. But the argument of overplayed, and this is an interesting theory I was talking about because I get people ask that, like the property's so cheap. I've almost had, I can't name a team that hasn't been to Madison. I can't name a team that, now Fairfield's still out there. It's been about 5 years, but Madison under my leadership has been 10 years. And even before that, there were teams going there. So is it overplayed? And, someone was asking me that. And I said, no, the haunting doesn't go to sleep. I think it comes down to our individual energies. At this point, and this is something Johnny Hauser had said to me when I was at the Villisca Axe Murder House, he goes, Adam, that whatever's in that building, that house, will talk to you if it wants to talk to you. It's seen everybody. It's been asked every question. If you are intriguing enough to that thing, or you get on its radar, it'll talk to you, whatever this thing is. Madison's the same way, a little bit of a friendlier haunting, but you got to think, these spirits did not die to answer what their favorite food was. Like, Ryan, how pissed would we be, dude? We're haunting the Madison Seminary. Like, dude, they're not even going to know what Subway is or some of these foods here are. Why do they ask that question? And dude, Ryan, you want to tell them your favorite color is blue tonight like you did last night? Where's this getting us? Like, I always tell people, ask these spirits something relevant, try to connect with them, respect their home. There are a few spirits I think are dark here. That's fine. It's your subjectiveness to think like what you want to ask or how you want to approach these things. But I think the best way to get evidence is connecting, but also people's energy. I think that I'm starting to more think about like these residuals, like stone tape theory. That building is covered with energy all over its walls. But how does it come out? Why are we not always hearing disembodied voices? Why are we not hearing the phantom footsteps all the time? I think we are the battery. I think people's energy. You ever heard of like people being ghost magnets? Like some people are just off the wall. Like you get them with you and all of a sudden, dude, activity everywhere. It is plausible that some of these high frequency people, high energy people walk through and they're just making the haunting pop off. It's there. We're hearing disembodied voices. And there's other teams that have walked in and man, I'm like, shit, I'm sorry you had a bad night. It's like fishing, dude. Like it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Can't snap your fingers.
Yeah. I mean, there's been times I went there. I've been there 16 times. There's been a few times I got nothing. It happens.
There's weeks I'll be working on the building and I won't hear shit. And then there's other days where I'm like, I think someone else is in the building with me. I also know like the building's haunted. So, there's been days, dude. It's the paranormal and how it works, but.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great place. I love it. I mean, it's my favorite place. So the attic is the attic. A lot of people say stuff up there. And the one thing I do is when I take new people there, I'm going November 2nd, taking, I think, 10 new people with me. I've never investigated before. I make them walk down that hallway. I don't give them anything. Tell me which two rooms feels off to you. I can tell you 90% of the time are the two rooms that feel off to me. So it's kind of, it solidifies my experiences up there.
No,
now, I did go up there and did a solo for an hour. I had my buddy close the doors, attic doors, and I've really never got a little bit besides those two rooms. Whatever is up there changed its mind. I mean, it was shaking that door. It was walking in the big attic. I felt bad up there. And I'm happy because I've had that feeling in a long time. That's what I wanted. That oh shit factor. Like what is up here with me? So then I decided to run out December 1st this year. And I think I'm gonna do it. Huh?
I salute you.
I love the cold. Madison, when it's
if
cold.
You love the cold, I salute you. I mean, we stay open year round.
You do, but it's been so much more active.
Tag, yeah,
it's been so much more active when it was cold.
Oh, I agree. I love investigating the winter. I do. It becomes an ice box, and those are reserved for the Spartans, dude. You're part of the Spartan Club because in December, actually, it might still be okay because the building retains the heat for a decent amount of time still into winter, and then when you especially get into February, it's an ice box. But
so I did read Madison's thing. I didn't see any disclaimers. So I ran that out to go by myself. Is that okay? Because some people say you have to have
people. We've let solos go. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So December 1st, I'm doing a solo Madison. So I just want to see what's going on.
We do. Yeah. It's, being a part of the community, I get it. Like I'm open to all avenues of research. We've had people go solo before. We've had large groups. You get the works. One thing I've been hanging on to that's like, again, getting into these like topics that like just bother you. It's like, when does a haunting begin? Right. And a lot of us are not doing anything different. Like what is a residual? Well, no one died there to do that. When you're hearing these phantom footsteps, it isn't because they like were walking and then healed over or something. And it's like, I guess where my mind's going is what is the foreign and what is the domestic haunting now? Because every time a team investigates, and I don't feel like this topic is talked about enough, maybe because owners aren't comfortable to talk about it or the community hasn't grasped it yet. But I think there are a lot that are grasping it. It's that like every investigation contaminates the haunting, right? It has to. So I think when we all first get into the game, we assume that we are speaking to any spirits from 100 years ago. Like it always seems to be the Victorian era. But you've got to think that these layers are being put in there. What if you hear a door slam? How do we know that wasn't a team 2 years ago that slammed that door because they were scared and they were running or something, right?
Yeah.
The door, okay, there's a situation I have. It's called the door handle theory at Madison. When you first walk into Madison, there is another door that you will go through, past the office. That leads you to the middle hallway. Every single person, and I'm saying thousands in the last 10 years, thousands of people have come through the Madison Seminary. And I'm quite sure well over some people came there before I purchased it. Well, those people weren't walking through that door because I think they had that closed off. So only a few. But everyone past 2016 on has grabbed that door handle, opened that door, and walked through. Or the door was open and you just walked through it. It's weird, right? That becomes a very hyper-charged area. There was a team one night. There was one lady. She would not leave the middle building. She was scared shitless. She was like, they talked me into this. I'm just watching the DVR system. I'm like, awesome. Actually, you're in a very cozy area. Got a microwave over here, drinks over here. You got your food here. You're in the best spot. Anyway, when they were leaving, sometimes I'll catch the teams if I'm in the back house here and they're packing up and I'm letting the dogs out for a second. I'll catch a team, and I caught them this night. She came out and she goes, oh my God, you told me the middle building was safe. And I'm like, well, maybe I did. I might have been just talking off the fly because actually technically nowhere's safe. There's activity everywhere. But she said when she was watching the DVR system, the door handle started to jiggle like someone was trying to open it. And she's looking at the DVR system. She's seeing everywhere. There's like a group in the Civil War wing. There's a group up in the attic. And she's like, it's open. Just come in. Well, it stops. She's like, whatever. I don't know what they're doing. She goes back to her business. 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, door handle jiggles again. And she's like, well, maybe it's locked. No one's answering me. She goes over to grab the door, opens it. It's unlocked. And she's looking in the hallway. No one's there, right? She gets on the radio frantically. And she's like, which one of you is playing a game on me, coming down to this door and jiggling the door handle? And like both groups are in their sections. Like, we have not come down to base in over a half hour. We've been up here. And this gets me into that theory of like, that door handle has been touched by how many people and jiggled by how many people, right? Is it not plausible that that was a residual shake and maybe not an intelligent spirit doing that? You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Is it possible we're creating that haunting? You laughing in the building, you were there, what, like how long ago, right?
Yeah. I mean,
let's say you laughed up on the second floor. That is going to be trapped in there. Now, why does all this energy is being trapped? It's all layered up. Is it plausible that in 50 years or sooner, someone hears your laugh in the building? Like, it's crazy to think, and it may never happen. It may never come out, or it may. Why do we hear the screams we do? Why do we hear the distant whispers that we do? Is it the past, or is it the very, very immediate past? You want to get into a real can of worms. Is it the future? Are we communicating with the future?
I mean, we leave our footprint everywhere we go. So why won't we leave it there?
And even if it's for that small amount of time.
Right.
It wasn't like if you hear footsteps at a residual, yes, maybe that was a constant tracking of footsteps, but the footsteps you're hearing have to be from one event of walking, not all those events of walking at the same time, which means your lottery ticket could be pulled for the footsteps heard, right, with all the 1,000 others. But yeah, it's interesting. But I had that note here because it was like, I think, do hauntings evolve or change over time? 100%.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of the first things we talked about. Like, the seminary is not the same the way we remember it because it's been contaminated like every other haunting on the grid. The more people go to it, you have contaminated that haunting with more of a foreign haunting than a domestic.
So how much stuff have you brought in compared to what other people have just left there or dropped off?
Like the stuff that's there.
Right.
Okay, like a lot of people bring stuff for Sarah in her room, so a lot of stuff's brought in there. I get a lot of donations. When I bought the seminary, it was 88 empty rooms. Actually, a little bit of junk, but not like any furniture that I recall. Right. The dentist chair that everybody knows that was up in the asylum was up there. That was given by the Historical Society. back in like 2006 or something. Patty Pack and Play, Maddie was there, which we named her Maddie. It was just called Sarah's Doll one time. Yeah, same thing. I brought in all the wicker wheelchairs, all the furniture. So yeah, 98% of the furnishing you see has been brought in. Okay. Which again, right? Interesting.
Right.
Interesting. Are we communicating with the Madison Seminary? Or are we communicating with what that stuff is?
Yeah. So you're talking about that. Let's go into Ouija boards. You have a Ouija board upstairs in the Civil War room.
Correct.
I don't believe in Ouija boards. I think they're a piece of cardboard or a piece of wood. That's my philosophy on that. But the people who do believe, you're going to a pay-to-play place and you're going to try to contact outside spirits. I don't really agree with that.
Right.
That's mine.
So my biggest argument with it was, what is the difference between a Ouija board and a voice recorder, right? They're both tools used to communicate with the dead.
Yeah.
Again, but being a jurisdiction of this, like, I don't say what is used. I get people all the time. Can we bring a Ouija board in? Absolutely. Yeah. If that is your perspective, I'm more with you. Do I use Ouija boards? No. I don't use that to communicate, because there's so many ways you can argue that it's, what do they call it? Idiomotor response.
Yeah.
You know the word I'm trying to say.
Right.
Like, it's just too open-ended. I remember when I first got into this stuff, people were playing with Ouija boards. We play with that. I just don't think that's a very definitive way to investigate. Not even that. Definitive is not even the right word, because everything's going to be subjective. But we leave that in there for teams that are interested in that. There's really no piece of equipment we put off the table, because, again, I think the most toxic thing for the community is to set parameters. Like, I mean, don't try to, like, hang yourself in there. Okay. Like, be logical for the sake of science. But, you know, you'll get some places that are against Ouija boards. Well, then now you're drawing a line of saying, hey, Ryan, I can tell you when you want to investigate this location that you paid to be here at, I can tell you what you can or can't do. And that's being someone in the community. Maybe if I was just like third generation, we've owned this place and I don't ghost hunt, those people may do that. But as a fellow investigator in the community, I do not want to put any chains on you to how you can investigate.
Right. No, I mean, we used it the one time. My buddy's never used one. I've used them when I was younger. Things never moved in my life for me, but he was kind of nervous to do it. I'm like, you're here, might as well do it. So he got to use it, so he can say he did a Ouija board.
Yeah,
thing didn't move, but you know, whatever. I mean,
I've never really had luck. And think I've done it in groups and stuff, and I always try to feel if it's the group moving it kind of thing. You know, it's been a few years since I've done it. Again, it would be on the bottom of my go-to list of an arsenal, right?
Right. So, anything with human interference,
yes,
I throw out. And a couple on here right now, table tipping, not a fan.
Never participated, and I don't. That's like a Victorian thing,
right? It's starting Victorian.
Okay.
So
I feel like when you have human interaction like that, there's going to be. I never sat in on one, so I can't really. I think I've seen a video of it where it's actually tipped, and people walk with it or something around it.
I think they like just touch it or something. I don't know. They touch it and their energy supposedly goes into it, and there's a spirit attached to it.
What's the point of table tipping?
As a Victorian era, I'm guessing it's kind of like the Ouija board. You know, you're putting your energy onto the table. Then you ask a question and it tips to one person or the other. But again, when you have people touching
how's the
something,
table tipping?
Me personally, I think someone's pushing it.
Logically, right? It's not like.
And I've asked that: is it a spirit taking over your body to tip that table, or is the spirit actually tipping the table?
Oh, then we're getting into a really weird sector.
But I researched it. No one knows. Even in Victorian era, who created this damn thing, don't even know which is what. So
inconclusive.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I've heard of it.
Yeah, right. It's popping up now more and more.
Yeah. Well, it's okay to experiment with stuff, but like we do need to be more critical in the field. And this is where I feel like with the paranormal community, everyone's too afraid to step on each other's toes. Let me just say this to anyone that disagrees with me. I think people, don't want to disagree because they don't want to piss owners off because like, oh, we'll get banned. Dude, I talk shit on. We're banned from a few locations to go to because we do disagree. Like I can't go back to St. Albans, allegedly, you know, and that's okay. But what I would tell teams is even if you disagree with me, like Ryan, you could have got in here and just shot down everything I said and then followed up with Adam, and you're a piece of shit, which I would admire because I'm a former frat boy. I love that shit, dude. I love that. I'm like, damn, Ryan, this is a great interview. That would not change your status of going to the Madison Seminary and booking it, you know, where I think teams are afraid of that, or they're afraid if they piss off another team, that team's going to go and talk a little shit online or something, and then maybe it gets them in trouble in the community. No, here's what I will say. The one thing I've learned about this community is that they love controversy. And I have caught myself there in times where I've put people on blast, but it's a very justified attack. If I have to put someone on blast, you've been on the radar for a little bit and you are a menace, and let's just bring it out. Let's drag you out of the shadows and talk about why you may be a piece of shit. It's very healthy for the community to self-regulate that way. Now, but when we talk about the toxicity in the community, it's more of like, paranormal bartender, I hear stuff. I think it's just people it's like cliquey, like high school. Here's what I would say to people. Just don't do that. Especially something out there. You know, it's interesting because I do see a lot of these mentalities where teams come in and they're arguing about other teams. Who cares, man? Right. I have a lot of people that talk shit on me that have never met me. And I'm not saying I'm the golden boy and I'm great. I definitely have my flaws. But I think some people just like to hate people from afar. You know, there's people that probably hate you, Ryan. And I'll tell you, my interactions with you, there've only been a few. I think you're an outstanding guy. But there are people that are going to watch you from afar and maybe something you said. They're like, Ryan said that. I do not agree with that. Ryan is the enemy. The beauty of this game is to understand that we all have differences. I love people's different opinions. I love hearing your different opinions. I love hearing your opinion of the Ouija board. Actually, I'd love for us to butt heads here at some point, but like cool. We seem to be pretty aligned here on thought. But it's just refreshing. I think, and in this debate thing you're going to do, run it. I have wanted to have a debate with a demonologist, right? Okay. I've wanted that shit. I've wanted it so bad. And when I did that 2 years ago, calling it out, crickets. It's like, stand on business. If you believe you are a demonologist, stand on business and let's talk. Like, I got so many questions. Oh, Catholic boy right here. Okay. Like, how often do you go to mass? Like, do you know, like, you know, all these things. What book did you read? The ABC of demons, and I can name the demons, so I'm a demonologist. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I think there's a lot of clowns running around in this stuff, and they just want the title. They want to put that in there because it sounds great. That looks dumb. You look dumb as shit with that in. And if you want to put that in there, you better be ready to defend the title. Anyone that wants to put the title in paranormal expert, be ready to defend that shit. Because that's, and you know what the funny thing is when you see people that have like paranormal expert on their title for shows? These shows, from someone who has had the beast many times at these locations, when the beast existed, because television's kind of gone now, it's all YouTube, right. Which I definitely like the YouTube generation more than television. These producers will ask you when they're setting you up for your interview, getting the lights on you and everything, and they're like, hey, what's your title? And I just always say, like, owner, and at best, paranormal investigator. But they'll let you pick the title. If you see someone says paranormal expert, they're like, hey, is it getting mic'd up? Hey, slip that in. Paranormal expert. You know, so it's like, okay, let's stand on business. What's that mean? You know everything. We're dealing in a game of unknowns. We had a very healthy talk today. There are things we do not understand, and we are just speculating on it. But when you use the word expert, that'd be like, okay, Mr. Expert, explain foreign and domestic haunting. When does the foreign haunting begin? How long does the domestic stay? Can we still communicate with the domestic? When can we begin to start talking to the foreign haunting that we've actually put there with our own energy? Dude, they're going to sit there all dumbfounded. What? Like, because you ain't no fucking expert, dude. Yeah. So anyway, that's just my rant on it. I think debates are very healthy. Very healthy.
I've been throwing out those on Facebook, and there's a reason I've been throwing a whole bunch of stuff on Facebook, and I forget the one I put out there, but I got a lot I know, I am. No, how about I believe?
Believe is a better word. Yeah.
Because you do not know what spirits are.
Mm-hmm.
You believe what spirits are. There's so many people that are experts out there, but you say back it up. Then
And to even backtrack to how we started, it's so interesting because it comes back to those filters. Remember, you got a team that believes in science. You got a team that just believes on their own feelings and instincts. There's teams that are religious. That seems to be how they back their expertise, right? It's their perspective. But there's so many perspectives, and there's no way to be definitive on it. We can't get on the show tonight and be like, this is a spirit. It's not, because there's no way to prove it.
right.
We know there's something there. We know there is something communicating. Maybe you're on the team of demon, that everything's talking to you and it's a demon. Then I got to question why you're here, because that sounds dangerous, right? Then you got the people that are like, they are deceased people. Okay, cool. And there's others that are just like, they're interdimensional beings that have understood our language and talked to us. Like, you know what I mean? There's just even, and here's the thing. It's just the dogs. And then there's this thing of like, shit, I lost my train of thought on that. It was, there's no receipt to an EVP. And I will die on this hill, you know, of people believing every EVP that they capture is like law. If you get an EVP that says, I am Sarah, you sure? Because I've had Class A EVPs where I'm in Sarah's room and it says I am Sarah. I don't know if I trust you. We understand that humans lie. Spirits can lie too. Therefore, what becomes very problematic in this field, I'm talking red alert status problematic for this field, is it's very hard to get any definitive evidence. Even if we were to say, hey, tell us over EVP, and we're getting Class A EVPs, can we trust the source that they're telling us the truth? I don't know.
No, I mean, it's just,
we get a lot of conflicting answers. You know,
it's just like nowadays, like I am Sarah. Like I always say, that could be Fred saying that, because what do we say? They want attention. And it's no difference than what we're doing right now on social media. We want the attention. That's why we, collect dolls. That's why we do all this, throw these EVPs.
100%.
It's all about attention.
And I get it. And this comes down to psychology. I love psychology in this field of research. And again, I'm talking about all hobbies. We can make fun of the knitters, the LARPers, the motocross people. Everybody wants to be somebody. I understand and I respect that. That's self-preservation. Because in a world like this, it can seem very depressing that, in 100 years from now, I always tell people, don't be anxious. Don't be scared to do anything in life, because in 100 years, people are not going to say our names, very likely. So go out, take the risk. That's what I've always thought. But like in today's day and age, when you look at social media, it's so interesting. People want to be heard, and they deserve to be heard. We self-preservation. We all have it. I always tell people when I'm talking to the crew, I'm very careful about people that want to help with the project, because there are things called agendas. There are people with good agendas and there are people with bad agendas. And people are like, what does it take to become a part of the crew? You are going to be thoroughly investigated. Like, I'm not talking like, background check, all this stuff, but you are going to be thoroughly investigated as a person, because I always let the building call people in, the buildings call them in, because I got to see if you're into the long-term game. Are you in sport mode or are you hobby mode? I need people that are as hungry and driven as me to protect this building. That's a part of the Your Mortality Project. You think about 100 years from now, they're going to be watching these videos. We are going to be the footnotes for people, but I need to know your quality. You have to care about the building first, then the ghosts. And that they're all playing together, but I'm just saying, like, you protect the nest, the ghost then comes second. And I have a lot of people that'll come into this and they just want to ghost hunt. And I'm sorry if that's the case. You're not built for this. No property is going to survive with a bunch of ghost hunters running it, because they're all just going to want to ghost hunt. You need to learn how to protect these things, how to work on construction, all this stuff. I got into that rant because that is another game of like in this self-preservation game. But again, and this is another bit of advice for people. If that's you and you want to be known, then shut your mouth, focus in your lane, and do work. Do not be too busy worrying about like talking about shit on other people and stuff. if you were to spend a fraction of your time of all the shit talking you do about other people, whatever the people are doing, and just focused on your mission, whatever that is, maybe this is that moment to self-reflect. What are you doing? What is your mission? If I had to paint my mission out, I love paranormal research. I love this stuff. I dropped out of college for it. I thought it was so interesting. And I wanted to protect that. Therefore, I bought the buildings. I went on and that is the mission. Save the history. Let other people investigate. Get more people interested in it. The mission path is clear. To these teams at large, what is your mission? Is it to shit talk other people? Is it to think you're the greatest there for your 12 subscribers on YouTube? Is that what it's all about? Oh, the meanest shit talkers are the ones that have nothing. The ones that message me and they're like, hey, our show, that, Paranormal is coming. And we believe you should waive the fee because we're going to put you on the map. It's first off, the Madison Seminary has been here way before all this. Madison Seminary, the Fairfield County Fair, we don't need that. We've had a lot of big hitters. We get a ton of splash. It's just the ego. It's if you're going to have ego, at least fucking own it. Have it. Have something to have an ego about. But then you'll learn with that kind of power, ego kind of diminishes because it's so hard to maintain what they all want. All these people want a TV show. Well, first off, TV's dead. Learn how to film, get out there, make the content, create the reputation that you're not a fraud would help, unless you want to be in that category. But get out there and do the work. I think that's the most healthiest thing I can say to the paranormal community that needs this knowledge.
Right. I tell everybody, just be you and it'll take care of itself. I mean, I don't film, I don't edit, I do live podcasts. That's my thing. We talked about debate coming up. That's a big thing. Am I going to shit talk people? No, I'm going to shit talk topics. And all I'm hoping to do is open people's minds up a little bit. Maybe question. I'm going to get questioned. I'm going to have questions. We talked tonight, right? There's stuff that we talked about tonight. I'm going to be like, damn, dude, Adam's onto something here. Now my train of thought's going to go somewhere else.
Right.
So, I mean.
Oh, it's a deep rabbit hole. And I appreciate the way you think too, because we could go down rabbit holes left and right. We're talking about good stuff. It's deep. It's deep.
It is. One rabbit hole I always talk about is we talk about spirits, dimensions. And I always say, I brought the ghost investigators. What is heaven and hell? We always say heaven's above, hell's below. That's what we were taught. What if what we're seeing is actually heaven?
Yeah. Or purgatory. I try to take it from religious. I try to look in all perspectives.
Right.
So I try to look from a religious perspective of okay, if these religions are correct and real, what are we dealing with the paranormal realm? Is that purgatory? From a Catholic perspective, we had purgatory, where you're kind of in a waiting before the second coming of Christ. So are all spirits stuck in purgatory until the second coming? So we're actually talking about that, because when you ask spirits, is there a God? Is heaven real? I don't think a majority of the time you get answers on that. It kind of kills the vibe with it. And I've had some answers, some will say, is heaven real? Yes. Are you there? No. It's that's interesting. Then what's going on here? I don't know. They are very deep questions.
Let me throw this out there then. So there's a heaven and hell. When you pass and you believe in an afterlife, you go to heaven or you go to hell. What if you have no belief in afterlife?
Maybe that could be the ones. Well, that's interesting, because then are these the ones that are stuck behind? Maybe it's almost like your belief system becomes reality. Right. If you believed in heaven, whatever is beyond this, that would get into simulation theory. But it's interesting. One of the topics was, I don't even think I covered this. This is one of yours that you wrote in your paragraph. Where do we go after we die? And that's a fascinating question. That's the $1 million question, besides capturing good footage. I am a believer in reincarnation. That could change tomorrow. The more I think on things, it's just that we are energy at the end of the day, and energy, the law of conservation, or not conservation. Whatever. My mind's fading on that. Their energy drink. Energy is going to transfer according to the law of physics on that, right? So we're an energy, we're going to pass on. And maybe it's a question of like where that energy goes. Some say we're like a drop of energy that goes into a giant ocean of energy, right? It sounds a little depressing, but maybe it's not. It's like, if I have a chance to reincarnate, I would love to come back. I'm enjoying this realm. Whatever this is, I'm having a good time.
Right.
Maybe I've been here a bunch of times, but here's the other thing that's kind of alarming, that's a little disturbing, a little depressing, is that, I don't think it's a one-for-one trade-off. It's not like, hey, Ryan, you could reincarnate and hopefully you could remember that you were Ryan. It's more of like maybe energy splits. Like you and I could have been the same person in a past life because the energy splits, because if there's only so much of a consciousness that spreads in this intelligence, this energy, it can't be a one-to-one trade-off. It can't be like, okay, because if you have two kids, and you have a grandfather and a grandmother that want to come back, and let's say they go, you have a boy and a girl, and they all of a sudden, they jump into those avatars because they're available. But let's say you have 5 kids, right? Like, where does this consciousness keep coming from? It's maybe a split off of energy. So it's like a lot of different past lives. It's like, why does every female gas station attendant think they were Cleopatra in a past life? It's like, what's happening in this one, dude? Holy shit. Not so good this round. Not so good. But back then you did great. A lot of people thought they were Cleopatra. A lot of people thought they were like something great. I was Alexander the Great. So shut the fuck up, dude. Maybe you're like 1/1000th of a percent of energy of that, maybe, if you even think that. It's just interesting. So I do believe there's something. Now, here's another rabbit hole, though. Now with the disclosure of aliens, what's that energy? You ever heard of this phenomena where children are talking about like they're Star Trek and they want to go home? You ever hear these cases where children are like in their own house and they're like, I want to go home. And they're like, honey, we're home right now. I've heard of a lot of cases of children doing this and saying this. And it's like, are they foreign energy? Is that alien energy? That energy can shoot anywhere in the universe. And again, I'm trying to make this happy, but it does not make me happy as a topic. It's like, are some humans alien in a sense? Like, our energy signatures alien? Like, yes, your DNA is human, but your energy signature is alien. So that's why this world feels weird to you. And then when you pass away, you could be shot somewhere else. You could be on Alpha Centauri, if there's a civilization there. You could be one of the Nordics. You could be reptilian. Man, I can even feel the pulsating in my head from the headache because I'm trying to grasp that. It was easier when the disclosure wasn't there and we speculated on aliens, but now the disclosure's here. Even if that's real, and if this is fake, and this is the biggest government cover-up of saying aliens are real, like, you really put cards down on the table. Dude. But then again, us millennials are just desensitized because we've seen so much shit. We're like, oh yeah, aliens are real. We still got to pay bills. We still got to do that. Yeah. Are we like part of the Galactic Federation now?
But I mean, the one thing about the government, I'm not going to get political though, but they'll come out with something to divert from something else. They do it
100%. It's all a diversion all the time. But anything you do, like, people do this all the time. But here's the thing: it works mostly. Yeah. Most of them would work is because if you look at people's attention spans, and maybe this is a psyop of like how often we are fed. Like, they say people's attention spans are like, what? You got 3 seconds and they're scrolling if they're not interested. Like, thank God, if anyone stayed for this live, like, you have beat 99% of the population, because guess what? You're able to focus. You're able to focus and listen to information. And hopefully maybe even 100 years from now, the attention spans are back, because there were a lot of interesting things talked about. But in the year of 2026, we may have lost you within 6 seconds. But think about that, of how quickly people get over stuff. You hear information, you hear these crazy things happening about people, and then like a year later, we all forget about it. We just move about our business. That's why I always tell people, just do what you're going to do. People are not like, Ryan, I remember that thing you did 18 years ago, and I think about it every day. No one gives a shit, dude. No. You got a free slate again, because people's memories are like goldfish, you know?
I mean, you get it all the time, though. It's like, what was your name again? Like, you meet people all the time. You don't know. You don't remember them. Yeah. I had someone post.
But I remember Grant Wilson. He's a piece of shit. Never going to forget you, Grant. Anyway, moving on. Yes. Names. That's also like, you know, it's so funny. We make eye contact when we meet people and we just forget names.
Yeah.
It's so weird, but I don't forget faces. Names are tough sometimes.
Right.
So. Yeah.
But I mean, I put out, when did you see your first full body apparition? You know, it was just something on Facebook. And someone goes, when I was 1. I'm like, really? When you were 1 year, you remember that when you were 1. You probably didn't even remember what you had for dinner last week. And you're going to tell me when you're 1, you saw full body apparition.
Someone say that?
Yeah. In the comment. Yeah. I couldn't comment back.
I don't think
6 or 7 I could see.
I've heard of people saying they remember being babies, but I'm like, do you, or is that you're imagining a POV because you know what it would be like?
Right.
You know, I don't know. Everyone's brain's different. I'm not going to crucify it. I'm just going to be, if that's real, I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. Yeah. Because for me, I don't remember. It was like when your brain is becoming aware and the consciousness becomes, it's almost like we're on autopilot up until like a certain age. And all of a sudden it's like, we're here. We're like, oh God, where am I? What is this place? You know, it's like the consciousness kicks in. And I remember fragmented memories. And it's like when people get drunk. I haven't drank in 14 years, but I remember what it's like when you're blacking out and it's like, oh shit, I'm not going to remember this tomorrow. But in the moment you do, in the moment you know what's going on, but you're like, yeah, my memories, it's not recording it's like having a camera that's turned on. It's not recording. And I would remember that a lot. Remember that I said that to myself a lot, enough where I remember that I would always say that. But it's like when you're younger, I remember flashes of memories, but not the full, like, I don't know what I was thinking that day. And we're talking like kindergarten, first grade, second grade. And then all of a sudden the memory starts like the SATA drive starts constantly recording for the best of what it can do. Cause I'm with you. Can I remember what I ate last week? No, dude, no, I can't.
No,
but I'm alive and I ate. So
that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I mean, so we beat Madison up pretty good. Fairfield. I've been there. Didn't have much activity there, but it seems like the women have a lot of activity at Fairfield.
Yeah. It's like with teams. I've had teams say they've had no activity, and other teams are like, it was like a portal to hell. Paranormal's like fishing. What I will say though is, comparing the two, Fairfield has more of an ick feel to it because it was built for the impoverished. It's 196 years old, dates back to 1828. Many structures were added on. Then you had like the main structure, the wings added. It is Fairfield County's infirmary. Like every county had one that wasn't, if they weren't knocked down, every county had an infirmary, a poorhouse. Very historical, so it's very important to protect it. It is a whiny baby. It requires a lot of money. People are like, Adam, you would think you'd be driving a Bugatti by now with the amount of money the Paranormal can make. Like, yeah, it generates a lot of money, but these buildings, like, I just put a new roof on, man, that eats money. Like, that building was left by the land bank and left to die. It was just they projected $26 million to fix it. I'm like, oh, okay, hang on now. We're not going to make it state of the art again. We're going to fix the bones though. Yeah. And it has been an uphill battle. Madison is built very well. That's a fortress. Very good roof. Very good bones. Fairfield's roof, not so good. 3 layers of shingles with a metal roof under it. Son of a bitch, dude. Like, so yeah, that was painful, but we got through it. And again, to the community at large, like a lot of this is used through the Paracons and fundraising it. And I'm always transparent about the money. It's like, if we're going to do this event, people can trust. If I say we're going to do this and this is where the money's going, it goes towards that. We've at Madison, we've raised $76,000 for cystic fibrosis. That's been 9 years. This is going to be 9 years going up on that. At Fairfield, we've raised, I don't know, 20,000. When we started, before that, we shared causes, but Fairfield was very desperate. So I put the money towards that. And that's what it takes. The Paranormal at large doing that. And I look at it the same way. Like, I want to protect this. I love these places. And think about it. If we lose them, we lose a little bit of ourselves. Think of like, you know, if Madison falls, all those memories you had there, you can never walk in there again to experience it, because a little part of you and a little part of everybody else is in there. And even protecting those who came before us, it's rough, dude.
Yeah, I mean, you always stay true to your word. You love these places. You want to keep up with them. And I've known that from when you first bought the place. You said, "I just want to keep these places upright," and
Just keep them up so we can
that
all
was your
enjoy it.
main goal. And you've done that. And I'm a big believer in a history part of it, especially like Fairfield, a poorhouse. I always thought poorhouse, great idea, but money got involved and greed got involved.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
same with the prisons. You know, you're talking, you know, this is supposed to house 200 people, but in its heyday, it was 1,400 people because
Yes.
the state paid you per head. So
Per
they
head.
just jammed a whole
Yep.
bunch of people. So
100%.
for us not to go back to that, we have to have these places to remember
Yeah.
what it was like.
Yeah.
So like you're keeping history alive, but you're also keeping a future what it's supposed to be.
It is like, it's an immortality project. I want the community to understand that there is a bigger mission. I've always been obsessed with immortality. Like I believe in time travel, and just disclaimer, I believe time travel has been proven to some degree to be real. But anyway, that's a side quest. Immortality. I would love to live forever. Again, that comes with its problems too, because I would love to stay young and live forever. But the immortality project, you got to think, when we're protecting these buildings, we're leaving a legacy behind. And in a sense, it is immortality. All the people involved. You got to think, even anyone investigates and you leave a carbon footprint of an investigation, people are going to look back and research and be like, whoa, wild times between, you know, like early 2000s to like 2048. These people are out here ghost hunting the place. And ghost hunting, I don't think is going to go away. There's always going to be a phenomena. I don't know if we'll ever fully understand it. And even if we do fully understand it, are they going to stop trying to communicate with it? I think it just makes the interactions even more interesting.
Right.
But they are going to look back at all our footnotes. They're going to review. Again, we're already ghosts. To some people right now, we no longer exist. The year is 2122. Almost 100 years. So, God, you get what I'm saying. And it will come inevitably. It marches forward. And it's 100 years from now. And someone's watching this. Our relic is still here. It's the immortality. It's kind of like, you know, you ever heard of the three deaths in Mexican culture? It's very deep, and it's always bothered me for a long time. And it's just a part of their belief system that you can die 3 times. And when I heard that, I was like, what? But basically, I don't know if it was called the 3 deaths of Mexicans. This is the concept that when you are born, I believe they say that it's your first death because you are ejected from the Garden of Eden. Don't quote me on that, but that's your first death.
Okay.
Your second death is the last time you take a breath in this world. So you're on a hospital bed, you're in a car accident, however it goes down. Hopefully it is a very good one where you can be surrounded by your loved ones. You take that last breath, you have a very large family, you got a bloodline that can take on the legacy, the genetics. You take your last breath. That would technically be your second death. Your third death, and this is where I was like honing in. I was like, wow. Third death is the last time someone physically says your name or thinks about you in this world. And that hit me hard because for countless people, you know, I had 2 kids that are 2 fellow classmates that passed away from drug overdose in my school. I think about them from time to time, and I'll physically say their name aloud because it's like summoning them back. It's keeping the memory of them alive. And you got to think we're doing that to ghosts. Every time we say Elizabeth Styles' name, every time we say whoever, you are keeping the memory alive because there will come a day where no one says it anymore. Therefore, all of your existence is gone. But this is a carbon footprint too that eliminates that third death.
Right.
You know, but it's interesting, man. That's the kind of stuff I think about. I think the longer, when you're in the business of mortality and death, it starts to bother you because it's still fun, but there's an expiration to it. We're all going to end eventually. So
That's right. I mean, I always, you know, people always ask, why do you paranormal investigate? It's not to find the answers to the afterlife. It's not that, whatever. I want to keep memories alive of these people that have passed. That's my biggest thing. And, you can't be scared to die, you know,
right.
and I think a lot of people are scared to die, but I don't think that's the main thing. I think their main thing is being scared of being forgotten.
Forgotten and missing everybody, because I think that
Right.
that's my biggest thing. Like, I'm not afraid to die. I don't want to die. Let me put it that way. I don't
Right.
want, it's not on my
No,
agenda,
no.
but I don't want to lose everyone, and you don't want to be forgotten. What was the point of all of this?
Right.
And I don't think it is the end. I think this is whatever we are experiencing is too advanced for that. There is something after. But again, this comes back to telling people to take that risk, do something, go big. Go
Okay.
big, because in 100 years from now, we're gone. And it's not even really good. It will matter. If you played hard enough, it will matter. But just go hard, man. The ticker's moving. So
Right. I mean, that's why I created this mug too. It's my Trap Souls mug. It says never forget. Um,
yeah, I like
it's,
that.
I wrote a little blog. Some people know about it on my website, and I didn't mean to write it. Just started writing. My way my head works. I cried a lot during that blog. It was about my grandfather, and I named that
Interesting.
one. I will never forget, and that's one of the reasons why I do this. And I just want the memories alive. And
Right.
one of my theories was maybe these spirits are sticking around here because their memories are not right. Maybe their stories aren't straight.
Oh,
You know,
that's very cool. Or you want to stay with bloodlines. Your
yeah,
grandfather is staying with because perhaps it is prolonging going elsewhere.
right,
If you reincarnate, you're not going to find your family. Maybe if you're lucky, but your kids would have to have kids, and there's got to be an available vessel. I know I keep saying that, but it's like, yeah,
no,
you could probably reincarnate. A lot of bodies available, a lot of bodies, babies being born, but it's like randomized. It's like
right,
you're going to come back. You're not going to remember anything, but you're getting to live again. Or you can stay on the other side and follow your loved ones and follow that bloodline. Your grandfather gets to follow you, follow kids and stuff like that. And I could see that, because I would, as much as I want to come back, if I can't stay within my bloodline, I don't know if I would probably wait till the opportunity, because then it's just randomized. Why work so hard in this life just to start over again in another? That's the deep stuff. I know
yeah,
that, and I'm with you, dude. How deep and very emotional it gets, because I don't know how often people think about that stuff, but it's deep and
right,
it's real. And I think what you're doing for your grandfather is a great thing. I had a great close relationship with my grandfather too, and what I would give to just have, well, if we can pick time, I would pick a lot of time to have him back. There's like, if I had 5 minutes, like, no, we need more than that.
right,
There's a lot to talk about.
yeah,
Um, you know,
yeah,
it's interesting.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting. People are like, well, you can, I talk to my grandfather all the time. You know, he's been gone since he's 95. I still talk to him. Is
No
it?
shit. That's about the time I lost my grandpa too. 95,
Yeah. I
96.
mean,
I think it was in that ballpark. Yeah.
is he talking to me, or I just know what he would say? It doesn't really matter to me. I'm still having that conversation. When I'm stuck, I need a little pick me up. Hey, dude, Papa, what's up, dude? Like, help
Yeah.
me out here. And, I can say that to my mom, like, hey, mom, like, she'll just say, get off your ass and do something. That's what my mom would tell me. So I kind of know that. Is that her saying that to me? No,
Yeah.
probably not. But in my mind, that's her saying it to me.
What's beautiful about that is why I miss that generation, like our grandparents, is that the world was different.
Right.
Like, how old are you, Ryan?
50 now.
I thought you were my age. You've aged well. Well,
Oh,
you even
thank you.
understand then going back. I'm going to be 42. So, you think of like being raised in the 90s or even the early 80s. That world is gone. Like
Right.
and I love that world, dude. Oh my God. I loved it. But here's the thing. It's like do we love that world because we're reflecting back and nostalgic? Because if we went back now, would we appreciate it? You know what I mean? Or if we knew we were living in the good old days, would we appreciate it? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you don't realize how good it was. And I look back and how much fun, like, oh my God. But I like how you say, like, you try to talk, you're trying to talk to your grandfather and saying things like this, because sometimes that old school advice, you know what they're going to say. They would not understand our world. They would not understand the complications. They would not understand social media. But you know what? They wouldn't give a shit either.
No.
It's just that good old fashioned advice, the simplicity of it. You know,
simple. I mean, suck it up.
Simple life. Yeah, suck it up, dude. Suck it up.
Suck it up. Get over it. Whatever you got to do. Just move on.
A very tough generation. 100%. So you think about it, you're not wrong. That's absolutely the advice being given, you know, and it wouldn't change even with all they've seen, you know, and I do believe our loved ones are watching.
Right.
And trust me, the world's probably weird, but you know what? I think they've got to be very proud for us to navigate in such a wild world where you don't think about it. Us in the 80s, if we were told and we flash back to the 80s and like, guys, this is what the future's like. We're debriefing you on everything. There's no way you can fathom that. There's no way that there's like, what? So like the world's changing. And that's what I'm saying about like the dead not recognizing stuff and why they stick around some places, because it feels like home. There's going to come a point where if we are ghosts hanging around, we don't want this futuristic tech around us. We don't recognize the world. Then why would we want to stay? Right. Maybe that's when it's deciding to pass on. Like, okay, time to move on to the next, because I no longer recognize this realm of existence. You know, I don't know, man. It's deep, and unfortunately, we won't figure that out until it's too late.
Right. I mean, we'll find out sooner or later. That's the whole key.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, a lot of people say nowadays, you know, a lot of theories going out there with the aliens being ghosts, blah, 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 all that crap. But they're saying that spirits aren't seeing what we're seeing. They're seeing the way it was back in their time.
Yeah, I've heard all of it. Yeah.
I mean, again, I know what they're seeing. Like, that's what you're getting. Like, you don't know crap, dude. I mean,
yeah, we don't know. And I think there's a lot of mixed theories to that. Because I think what you're getting at is like when people say like a spirit walks through a wall because there was a doorway at one time there, you know, so they're seeing the world. That would be more of a residual. But like, I don't see it's a hot topic question. I don't know. Like, there's no way to prove it. Like, it would appear that they can interact with our environment that we put together. So I would lean more towards they can only see what's on our physical realm. Because we've manipulated the same plane of existence. We both existed on the same plane of existence. We're actually kind of still there, but in different layers of it. I think, I don't know. At least to the intelligent ones, to these residual ghosts that we're not interacting with. Yeah, they're interacting with an environment that's no longer there. But to the intelligent ones, I think they see it exactly the way we put it together. That would also explain why items we have up are physically manifested. If they couldn't see that and they were seeing something else, they wouldn't affect the items we have creating that poltergeist activity. Maybe?
No,
maybe?
Yeah, man.
I'm stretching. I don't know. Now I'm spitballing, but yeah.
But we're talking about like, also like, are we going in the right direction? Now, with so many paranormal investigators out there compared to 15 years ago, now when we pass, will we know more how to communicate with the living?
Yes. Okay. So that's a great topic question. You know, the way I look at it is getting as many people interested in this as possible, because the next great mind might be happening, right? Maybe the entire collective right now is just not smart enough. Like, I don't feel like I was supposed to be here. Let me put it this way. And it was by an accident. I was going to get into politics, international security, counterterrorism. That stuff was interesting to me, but not as interesting as this. Had I not stumbled across this at the right time, I wouldn't have invested everything. Like today, there's a mother and his son here. He's celebrating his birthday. He really wanted to come here for his birthday, right? And he's the private here tonight. And you got to think like, maybe he just want to try it out, but maybe he will become intrigued. Maybe he is the next brilliant mind we need. So, you know, I get this controversy. They're like, Adam, you've had influencers out that have been known fakers. I'm like, I don't know if they're faking or not. I can speculate too, maybe. But here's what I'll tell you about all these influencers that are massive in the millions and all this stuff. And I've rubbed shoulders with a lot of them. I don't care if you are fake or not, because you're getting a lot of people interested that come through the door and they're like, hey, I'm here because I saw so-and-so on YouTube. And you know what's funny is a lot of them, after they are in, I had a question way back in the day. I won't throw anyone under the bus because I like all these individuals off camera, even on camera. I like them. I haven't investigated them enough to be like, okay, maybe you're faking, whatever. It doesn't matter. The fan base they have brought in of this younger generation that is so enthusiastic, like they love this stuff. But there was one group one night, they were like, is so-and-so fake? We just thought we were going to get here because, you know, chairs were going to start flying and moving and all this stuff. And I said, don't believe everything you see on YouTube. Now I said, this stuff can happen, but it's very unlikely. The mathematical probability, if they film for a mere 8 hours, they got everything on the recipe book for a haunting to happen. But now that you're here and interested in this, you know, and they kept coming back and they were learning the equipment. We will take this new generation. You got them in here through entertainment. We're going to try and teach them the best we can and allow them to evolve better, to come up with stuff, their own ideas, let that stuff flourish. Because here's the thing, we can't talk shit on it. We can't talk shit on these influencers bringing people in, because how many people are going to say, I got into this because I watched Ghost Adventures? Yeah, a lot of people love Ghost Adventures season 1, season 2, but would you stand on a hill and defend Ghost Adventures now? No, you learned. So right. To all these older generation people making fun of the new generation, shut the fuck up, dude. You came in on false pretense too, but you didn't figure it out. So if you want to say like, oh, I got it here because of Ghost Hunters is shit too. I had the reboot come out here and it was the worst experience I've ever had. Grant Wilson is a fraud. He's fake, you know, but we all grew up thinking they were like the Holy Grail. There are others. Now I can't speak. I've never met, was his name Jason? Is Jason the other one? Yeah. Now he seems to be level-headed, but let's talk about this. His daughter Satori has the click, click, clack, clack, A, B, C, D, click, click, clack, clack. Dude, what are the odds that your dad is Jason Hawes and you're doing this? And Jason Hawes is allegedly like, I am no bullshit. It is all straight fact. When he was asked, someone was like, what do you think about your daughter Satori and what she's doing? He answers to the degree of like, I don't know, it's their thing. You just got to see it. Fuck you, dude. Because if that was anyone else's daughter, you'd have been like, oh my God, what is this, the Victorian era with the Fox sisters? Like, what are we doing, guys? This is all science-based. But he's protecting family. Now, I respect it, Jason. If you see this, because I'm sure some gremlin will screen record this shit as they do to Grant and all of them. I respect that you're protecting family. I get it. But that's a disservice to the field. I would have a hard little talk with Satori and be like, hey, science, let's not do the Fox sister thing. Yeah. So it's, I don't know, man. I've lost, it's, what's that saying? Don't meet your heroes. You know, and trust me, I got into this because I thought Ghost Adventures was fake. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was very entertaining, but I'm like, it's fake. And that's one of the other things that got me out there to do that EVP. You know, I was like, I got to see it for myself. And then you realize, yes, the shows are probably fabricated, but the phenomena is really happening. So,
yeah. But it got you to where you are now. Those fake shows got you to Madison. Got you.
So, you know, I say that like I've had all the influencers come out to film at these locations. Again, I have detected nothing in front of me. And of course, they're not going to come out and be like, yo, Adam, we fake everything. None of them are going to say that. I'm not there in the investigation with them. But I do know their fan base brings in that younger generation, which we need that younger generation. We need those new minds because that could be the next brilliant mind.
Right.
You know, we talk about stagnant ideas in the field. Gen Z is not stagnant. They are very smart kids. I run with Gen Z a lot, and they are very brilliant. They're very smart, and they should not be underestimated. You know, so just like the millennials were underestimated by the boomers. You know what I mean? Like in the game, like every generation hates the next coming in. I'm open to it, dude. I love them. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's all stepping stones. I mean, even if it's fake, not fake, it doesn't matter. Like, you're bringing influence in. Like, we'll say Sam and Colby. Like I've never seen a Sam and Colby show in my life. Kids love Sam and Colby. My daughter watched them. They're huge. I mean, they're goofy from my understanding, but they have millions of followers. It could be two of those followers that break the plane that we're looking for.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. Since the name's been summoned, Sam and Colby, they were, I mean, we've had tons, big names. Sam and Colby's one of them. When I used to do the flashlight tours at Madison, I noticed how important Sam and Colby were to the new generation, Gen Z, getting into this. When I would do flashlights, we'd still have nights where it'd be very busy, but the demographic was like 30 and up, you know. It was older, right? Sam and Colby drops their stuff at Madison. Now, when I do flashlight tours, it is probably kids between 16, even up to 13. I think we do 13 is our minimum. 13 to 25 to 28 is the majority demographic. Crazy.
Yeah.
And that's great. I love it because that's that new energy getting in. And these kids are great. I mean, they've asked the hard questions. And I'm just like, listen, I'm not throwing anyone to the bus. I'm just saying you got to see for yourself. You got to experiment. You got to be true to yourself. Use these investigations as a reference and go out there. If you have questions about the equipment, cool. And I want to know, like, if you have ideas for new stuff, nothing's out of the realm of possibility. That's how we come up with this stuff, dude. We just like bullshit. We're like, we got this new idea for a piece of equipment. Let's try and put it together. Because there isn't like we can call the Sony department or whatever department. Hey, can I have your ghost hunting department? I have a question about my equipment. It doesn't exist. We are the infrastructure that creates equipment. So.
Yeah, I mean, your flashlight tours have taken off. I noticed that. It's
huge
watching
attendance.
Videos. Yeah,
huge.
It's great.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's great. And I give back appreciation. I'm trying to arm the community. One of the things I hate is I have experienced a lot of lows in this game. I know what it feels like when you first get into the paranormal and you have no money, you have no equipment, and this is a very expensive hobby. Most people don't want to help you out, or they're very subjective about the equipment. Like, hey, I like this. Oh, by the way, it's $350. You should probably try to buy it to experiment with it. Like, I can't. That's a big risk. So one of my goals, not only saving the properties, it's arming the paranormal community with as much equipment as I can. So that's why we have door prizes. Every flashlight tour, we're giving out spirit boxes. We're giving out K2 meters, dowsing rods, and the equipment will elevate in size as we get through the year. I'm already investing in NPCD's the tripwire. That's a fucking Bugatti. Dude, of the paranormal.
I got two of them.
Yes, that's $500, buddy, that I know you had to spend right there. Yep. Okay, because I see price tags like boom, cha-ching, cha-ching. It's not cheap, but I want to get this stuff in people's hands. I have the financial means to do it where I can do that and still protect the building. So why not do it? That's the best thing that can happen for the community. And that's why I also came up with the loot crate. The loot crate is loaded with paranormal equipment that's only actually, and this goes to any creators out there, if you want to get your stuff into the hands of the community, maybe you should donate it to me and I'll put it in the crate. We put little QR codes on it. Let these teams experiment with the equipment. Now, everything you see in the loot crate, which is loaded with more tripwire, paranormal tripwire, Generation 2 Epic box, Phasma box, and Estes Method pod. It goes on. I put the video out of this. You value all of that stuff. It's well over $1,000. And there's more stuff being added to it. I charge $100 for that to go there so I can slowly recoup on it. But that's literally 10% of the cost to play with all that equipment and be like, hey, you know what? I think this is trash, but I really like this. This is really good too, but that was trash. And that puts the power in the investor to be like, now I know how to spend my money, because if you did it the way we used to do it, you racked up a lot of debt.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of trash.
Yep.
Yes. So it's the least I can do to the community that I love. So
yeah. And it's I always tell new people, new groups or come groups, like what type of equipment. I might just go work with another group. Go collab with another group. They're going to have equipment.
Collab with the group that's got the toys.
Yeah. Right. And you're going to see what works, what doesn't work. I wish I did that. I want to have a box full of stuff I don't use. You know, I got a whole bunch of paperweights here. So,
yep. There's old equipment I got in crates that's like it's garbage.
Right.
But at that time, you get excited. I understand. And you see a few people using it once in a while, and it's like, well, that's going to be awesome, you know, or it's not field tested. I think the community falls into this trap a lot. Like a new tool comes out and everybody just assumes it's got to be great. You know, like you've got the dead bell. There's a lot of people that like love the dead bell. We need to understand the mechanics behind the dead bell, because I'm not going to quote on it, because I was just talking to Lauren Helkinson. I say Van Helsing. I can never say her last name right. She creates a lot of her own equipment, but we were talking about the dynamics of the dead bell and how it works. And it's got a magnetometer possibly in it. Again, don't quote me on that. We're just talking about like understanding how this equipment works. Everything sounds amazing when you're like, oh, new thing. If the bell goes off, Ghost is manipulating it. Dude, over half the community is going to jump on that, because new tool for the arsenal, new tool to use while filming. But is it working? Is it working correctly? Now, again, some people don't give a shit, and that's fine. If you just want a lot of things that go beepy, beepy, and ding, 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 or play music, awesome. You have free will. You have, you can play the game that way. But I think it's better to test it out. Like, I don't buy equipment anymore until it's been used a lot. Like, it's been battle tested. Like, I love the SB7.
Right.
You know, you can't really. Now, again, it's all subjective, because if you're doing the Estes method, which again was stolen from the Gainesfield experiment, you know, it's all subjective. If we take that recording and you're under Estes and I'm under Estes, but we have a splitter to the SB7, right? We may not say the same things. We assume that there is stuff talking in the white noise, 100%. Some of it's very, very relevant. Some of it's off the wall, but it's subjective to the user, because there's so many things being said. You and I could hear it at the same time, and I pick a different word that I'm hearing, that you pick a different word, and that completely hijacks that Estes method, because now they're hearing that word from you and then hearing that word from me. And if we were in the multiverse in our own way, it would be a whole different conversation because of one word slip. It's why it's not the greatest thing, but it's also the greatest thing, you know?
Right. I mean, I kind of combined mine. So I got tripwire, recorder, spirit box. That's pretty much all I investigate with now. All the other stuff, not too worried about. So
keep it simple. Keep it simple, man.
I mean, you throw cat balls in there if you want. I mean, they're cheap, they're easy.
It's easy. I've seen those things manipulated. I talked a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Did.
Yeah.
I was like, we've hit a new low. We're back in the archaic times. But I've seen them easily manipulated. Like, I've seen those things move. Like, they're moved. And they do go off on command sometime. Is it just sheer luck, sheer timing, sheer coincidence? Always. You can't take that out of the realm of speculation.
Right.
But it's an easy tool.
Right.
It's an easy beginner tool until you graduate up to more stuff. Or some people just like it too. And I'm not against it. I don't talk shit anymore. I'm thinking it's a really interesting tool to use as a trigger, you know.
Right. But you can't use that. That's not the say all. Just because cat ball goes off doesn't mean there's a spirit there.
Exactly. You know, exactly. And I like your idea, like, and that is the way it should be done, of using multiple pieces of equipment in one, because if you can get different pieces coinciding around the same time, that's pretty solid. But to put all of your faith into one piece of equipment, it's like why I get back to the Sarah controversy. I want to know what equipment you were using. Was it a REM pod that went off when you asked if it was a girl? And how fast were you asking the questions? You know what I mean? Like, you listen to some people when you're in a group setting, how quickly, and I know why they do this. If you watch any television show, the way it's edited to be fast, I get it. And I can tell the people that learn ghost hunting through television, they'll be like, hey, what's your name? How old are you? How many spirits are here? That's literally the sequence of how fast it's going. And it's like, dude, I can't even answer some of that stuff that fast. And it's like, they do that. It's like, you have to give spirits time to answer. I know it's going to seem boring. It's like being on a fishing trip and like sitting there for a second. Wait a good minute and a half. Turn your ADHD off, you son of a bitch. Turn it off. Focus for one time in your life. when you ask a question, wait, and just like wait a minute and a half. I know it's going to seem awkward and it's not fun, but that gives it like more validity that hit was for that question. You know,
yeah, I mean,
especially with REM pods. You know.
All of them. I mean, there's sometimes I'll just sit there and not say anything for 20, 25 minutes and just
That's
listen.
it, man.
That's what you got to do. I mean, Trans-Alleghenies, though. Yeah, everybody wants to go to hotspots, Trans-Allegheny. I love just sitting in a dark hallway.
Dude, go anywhere, right? Like, go anywhere. You're going to have a great time anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, anything else you want to hit tonight? I mean, we can keep going on rabbit holes. I mean, it's never going to stop there. I know that much.
I feel pretty good about the level of shit talking was at a minimum. The knowledge.
Yeah, we didn't shit talk anybody personally.
We didn't attack the community. We only attacked some of the known figures, which is always good. I don't want to get any marks on your channel here for you. You've been an amazing host.
Thank you.
I think you're an amazing asset to the community. It's always good to talk to people that are enthusiastic, charged, and stuff like yourself. And I had a great time for the last 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh yeah, it's been there. Yeah, so paranormal debate coming up. I'm excited for that. A lot of good guests coming up. Maybe I'll try to get Adam and some demonologists on, and I'll be the moderator. They can debate it out on my show sometime.
Dude, and let's just, if we do this, I don't give a shit anymore. I really don't. I think we tiptoe around a lot of subjects.
Yes.
But let's do it. Let's fucking gloves off, man. And you know what I'll say to people, like I said, if you want to debate me, it does not mean that you're going to get banned from any locations. You know, some people get butthurt. I feel like there's some like investigators, if they were owners, they would gatekeep it. If you don't think the way I do, you can't come into my little demon house. Like, shut the fuck up. I'll even sign a contract saying like, we will be friends after this. Let's get dirty. Let's get hard. Let's talk about the hard topics. And I think a lot of the time, maybe we're going to align with people, you know, and I'm not saying me personally, but I think do bring people in and tell them, take the gloves off, quit being a bunch of little, I'm trying to keep this PG.
PG.
be the way you want to be. Everyone talks shit when they're alone of what they talk about. You know how you talk alone with your friends in little back rooms and stuff and how you're all tough and shit? Bring that to the screen. Bring it to the screen and let's do it, because that's great shit. Like, no one cares how you feel when we're talking in person. Like, I wouldn't say this to everybody, but this is how I feel. Then quit being a bitch about it. Get out here. Actually be something. You know, we talk about people wanting agendas and be someone in the game. That's speaking your opinion and being you and how you feel is the best way to do it. But if you want to hide in the shadows and just, you know, sly with your friends talking shit, that's fine. You can exist that way, but I think the timer's up. I think the great debates are on. I think you're onto something great, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's old school. We argue, we debate, put the gloves on, we shake hands, hug it out after.
Shake hands with it over, dude. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
I mean, just like we did in football and basketball. We fought. You know.
Well, you know what's funny about in our generation, all generations, like, I love with dudes. You get into a fist fight. There's so many of my friends, like, we would be in a fist fight, dude. Like, beating the shit out of each other. And then after that, you guys are like best friends. You know what I mean? Like, those guys are pretty simple. You know what I mean? I think men respect each other when you try to draw that out. If you're gonna walk the line casually, you will get a lack of respect for that. But if you own up on business and believe what you're talking about, I'll tell you what, you'll get respect from me. I don't care if you are complete polar opposites, but if you stand on that business and you believe in it, you got my respect. So I think that's where we're going with the game. So,
all right. Well, again, thanks, Adam. Thanks for jumping on. I'm sure I'll see you. I mean, you're 10 minutes down the road for me, so
hell yeah, dude.
I appreciate it. Everybody that jumped on. Sorry I didn't get to a lot of your questions. We were just chatting, so maybe next time. Thanks again. We'll see you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.